Chapter 24:37. Rumble. The Heavenly Drive River's defensive formation trembled violently, and a huge golden dragon shadow crashed into the space. The entire sky was filled with killing intent, and in an instant, the several thousand zhang long defensive formation began to tremble violently. Above the sky, thick golden divine clouds floated in the air like dragon scales, and a vast and heart-palpitating aura spread out. Under everyone's gazes, the rolling golden dragon clouds were about to burst out. In just a short period of time, they would be able to penetrate through the formation. The experts of the Long family were actually this terrifying. The golden dragons were densely packed together, and streaks of lightning filled the sky. The entire sky seemed to have arrived at the end of the world. Their minds turned, and facing the surging golden dragon shadow, all the experts on the front peak moved at the same time. Terrifying energy fluctuations spread out from their bodies, and the surrounding space shattered inch by inch. Thousands of super experts moved their minds, and a waterfall-like soul pressure burst out from the thunderclouds, blocking the attack of the Long family with a dazzling radiance. In an instant, the Long Ben army roared at the same time and stood behind Ryusutin. Their eyes were bright, and a sharp golden energy surged out from them. Pong! A series of terrifying explosions rang out, and the huge defensive formation was like a balloon that was being trampled on. In an instant, it became uneven due to the change in energy. The sound of thunder resounded through the sky, and the entire vast Heavenly Drive River was filled with sharp sonic booms. Wherever the lightning passed, the mountains would explode, and the sky would be torn apart. Following that, millions of roars resounded through the sky, and countless disciples of the Heavenly Drive Palace rushed into the clouds, carrying a terrifying force with them to resist the attack of the Long family together with the elders. This was only the first clash, and it already felt like the end of the world. A terrifying aura filled the sky, and very quickly, the world fell into chaos. Dark clouds gathered, and lightning flashed. Lightning energy as thick as an arm rushed over from all directions. In just a short moment, the energy of both sides reached a kind of extreme. Under such a destructive attack, the mountain range of beasts roared continuously, and countless figures retreated backwards. The void was filled with countless cracks. Roar! Along with the shrill roar, a huge explosion that shook the 9 heavens resounded through the sky. Like a tidal wave, a strong wind of energy poured into Shi Wuqing, Guyu, and the others. Bang! Everyone was pushed back a long distance before they could stop their bodies. The sound of heavy breathing caused everyone's heart to tremble. The Long family strength is far beyond everyone's imagination. With the arrival of the Heaven Troop, the amount of energy that Ryusutin can use will increase exponentially. With the advantage of bloodline, I'm afraid that today's battle will be devastating. At this moment, the experts of Yuqian Palace were shocked. Everyone knew how powerful Ryusutin was, and with the arrival of the Long Ben Army's Heavenly Battalion, it could be said that the Long family was in an invincible position. For the sake of today's battle, I have endured humiliation in the Heavenly Palace for 20 years. Today, I will take back all of it with interest. Outside the formation, a soft shout could be heard. As the dragon roared, Ryusutin's aura weakened slightly, but it was still as strong as ever. In an instant, Ryusutin waved his hand, and the mechanical Long Ben army behind him immediately responded. The wind and clouds surged, and the void also stirred up. Looking at the damaged formation in front of him, Ryusutin roared and said angrily, "Today, the Heavenly Palace will be bathed in blood. The women, pills, and wealth will all belong to you. You mother-f*** king fartball. Long Sutian, you bastard. Say that again. A warrior can be killed, but not humiliated. Today, the Heavenly Palace will resist to the death. The Long family is not allowed to take a single step in. Go, kill the Long family." Everyone present looked at each other. Long Pasan, Luo Wuya, and the rest were furious. How could they say such words? Did they really think that there was no one left in the heavenly palace? Gyue looked back at the heavenly pill house and took a deep breath. Facing the Long family, Gyue did not have the slightest bit of mercy. An unconcealable valiant aura shot out, and everyone present was boiling with emotions. Today, as long as it's golden, kill them all. Boom! The heavenly palace roared, and countless savage beasts in the forest rushed into the sky. The Green Emperor and the Yin-Yang twin nether transformed into beast-shaped true gods that were over 1,000 meters long, and a huge dragon's aura spread across the entire area. With the encouragement, the space shook, and millions of terrifying energy surged again. Everyone in the pitch-black space was full of vigor. Long Ben army bathed the heavenly palace in blood. Seeing this, Ryusuten's lips curled up. Looking at the millions of beasts, he only shouted calmly. Under the control of his mind, countless golden lightning bolts fell from the sky again. Like a violent storm, the mysterious light enveloped the entire space. Covering the sky and covering the sun, the wind and thunder were impressive. Go! Sizzling sounds resounded through the world, and the space shook. Countless soul energy was like the roar of an evil dragon, and it was once again applied to the mountain guarding formation. The huge light shook. Ripples of space tore through the sky, and fragments of the formation's light fell onto the mountains like peeling tiles. Layers upon layers of mountains, and boundless light rained scattered down, bringing with it a terrifying light circle that shook people's hearts. Hold on, Gyue shouted. At this time, all the experts had already rushed into the sky. Terrifying energy swept through the world, and layers of space collapsed. The sound of the formation being torn apart resounded in everyone's eardrums, and the violent lightning energy instantly lit up the horizon. The invisible aura was like a huge rock pressing down on everyone's heart, making it hard for them to breathe. Once the formation was broken, the morale of the heavenly palace would definitely be greatly reduced. Therefore, Gyue gritted his teeth, and Merciless West and the others beside him also tried their best to suppress the throbbing in their hearts. The violent energy caused everyone's robes to flutter in the wind. The energy was enough to tear apart the bones and tendons of anyone with a lower cultivation base, and tear apart their flesh and blood. Sizzle. In the air, the dragon's roar filled the sky, and the crack on the huge light screen became bigger and bigger. At this time, a faint voice was transmitted from the void. Suddenly, the huge ice crystals in the sky turned into ice birds and flew into the sky. Under everyone's shocked gazes, the phoenix's cry resounded through the 9 heavens and resisted the dragon's roar. Roar! G. Almost at the same time, the atmosphere suddenly dropped below the freezing point. Everyone, including the Long Ben army, felt their blood freeze. In the heavenly drive creek, a chill swept past, and a shocking murderous aura spread in the air, making people feel cold and solemn. The ice birds clung to the mountain guarding formation, and azure blue light shone in the sky. The light covered the sky and the earth, and the formation was as firm as a rock. Behind everyone, a mysterious white light stood upright in the void, and the shadow of the ice bird under her feet roared. The murderous aura in her eyes was undisguised. Anyone could clearly feel the monstrous murderous aura, and the bone-chilling murderous aura belonged to the heavenly drive goddess Duanmu Xiaoman. Chapter 2438. Everyone was shocked. The white shadow of the moon swayed in the sky. No matter who saw this beautiful figure, they would never forget her appearance. Such a beauty complemented this extremely simple landscape. Her appearance was the best proof of the world. Under the beautiful figure, the azure ice lawn under her mount let out a soft cry. It immediately spread its wings and broke through the sky. Its huge body turned into a rain of light and disappeared. The scattered light added a bit of mystery to Duanmu Xiaoman's arrival. Duanmu Xiaoman slowly landed on the front peak. Duanmu Xiaoman lightly flicked her robe. After a small turn on the spot, a large amount of light turned into sharp weapons and shot out. The Long Bin army that was close to her immediately retreated. If it wasn't for the protection of the formation, they would have already become corpses. Fair and tender skin, Duanmu Xiaoman's pair of limpid autumn eyes were frosty, lightly raised, faintly looking at the golden dragon army that filled the sky, her brows tightly knitted. "Welcome, Palace Master Duanmu." Guyue took the lead and shouted in surprise. Everyone followed suit. Seeing Palace Master Duanmu come out of seclusion, everyone present raised their arms and cheered. The mountain was filled with shouts that soared into the sky. Merciless West. Qi Feihong's eyes lit up. He nodded slightly at Duanmu Xiaoman. The two looked at each other and smiled. The two instantly felt more confident. Just from a raise of her hand, they knew how shocking Duanmu Xiaoman's cultivation was. With the strength of a single person, he was able to guard the formation and intimidate the Dragon Guard army that traversed the heavens and earth. Even if Draconis came, he wouldn't be much stronger than Duanmu Xiaoman in terms of aura. It could be responsibly said that Duanmu Xiaoman was the strongest person present. Different from the jubilation of Jutian Palace, Ryusuten's expression in the sky was extremely rich. It went from shock to fury and then to joy. Ryusuten's lips curled into a cold sneer as he stared at the peerless beauty on the distant mountain platform. After so many years, Ryusuten was no longer in human form. Looking at the palace master who was still as stunning as before, Ryusuten immediately roared. "Duanmu Xiaoman, you're finally willing to come out. Today, this old man will tear you to pieces." Ryusuten's miserable appearance was like a stray dog with no eyebrows. He erupted with a terrifying aura of a golden dragon and said furiously, "I have endured for 20 years for today. Today, I will take everything back." In an instant, the air at the scene froze again. A fierce and violent aura spread through the heavens and the earth. Countless golden spatial ripples spread in the void. At this moment, the surroundings were silent. Because of the appearance of Duanmu Xiaoman, the commotion in Yuqian Palace came to an abrupt halt. From inside to outside, each person exuded an unparalleled confidence and unyielding will. Duanmu Xiaoman's beautiful eyes moved. She carefully scanned the scene and instantly locked onto Ryusuten, who was like a vicious dog in the sky. She asked in confusion, "Who are you?" These three short words instantly caused Ryusuten's face to turn the color of pig liver. The woman he had hated for 20 years didn't even know his name. His two arms that were curled up in his sleeves trembled madly, and his face twisted. Ryusuten's heart was filled with hatred to the extreme. He resentfully said, "Back then, you crippled my hands with the power of the Isolon. You actually dare to forget." As soon as he finished speaking, Ryusuten's hair and beard fluttered. The aura around him instantly went berserk. Bolts of golden lightning shot out of the sky like pythons, bringing with them terrifying sonic booms. Bang! Disperse quickly. Before Guyue could finish speaking, Duanmu Xiaoman suddenly turned into a streak of light, her beautiful figure rushing toward the golden dragon. An azure storm of frost and snow directly struck down. Ice spread through the air. The golden dragon struggled for a few seconds in the frost and snow before dissipating. Suddenly, Ryusuten was stunned. In these years, Duanmu Xiaoman's improvement was not just a little bit. Back then, she, who had achieved some small success in the power of the Isolon, was already a mountain-like existence to him. Now, standing in front of her, even if Ryusuten was conceited as a genius, he still couldn't shake the pressure exerted by Duanmu Xiaoman. This woman was like a nightmare that stayed in his mind. Seeing this beautiful figure get closer and closer, Ryusuten's state of mind instantly began to shake violently. "I remember you," Duanmu Xiaoman slowly said. In front of Ryusuten's eyes, Duanmu Xiaoman's eyes endlessly enlarged. Her frost-covered eyes were like those of a god, and the enormous pressure caused Ryusuten's mind to quickly collapse. Then, Duanmu Xiaoman's cold and disdainful voice spread everywhere. You're that insolent trash for back then. Your hand should have been broken and thrown into the mountains, but you actually saved them. What a pity. You, Ryusutin was instantly enraged when Duanmu Xiaoman mentioned the scandal for back then. It turned out that when he first met Duanmu Xiaoman, Ryusutin, who was conceded as an unparalleled genius, was in existence even stronger than Long Kuei in the Long family. Duanmu Xiaoman had taught him a lesson in the past. Now that it came out of Duanmu Xiaoman's mouth, everyone burst into laughter. So he's a lecher. Ha 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 ha. This guy, he looks like a ghost, and he dares to be so insolent to our goddess palace master. You overestimate yourself. I thought you were strong, but you're just a clown. Everyone laughed at Ryusutin. From the experts to the disciples, even the demonic beasts who had just learned the human language, they all pointed at his nose and sneered. Ryusutin's expression changed, and the faces of the Long Ben army behind him instantly turned ugly. Ryusutin's figure exploded, and he said through the Imperial Heaven Array, "Don't try to talk nonsense. Duanmu Xiaoman, I want you to pay back everything you owe me today." In the distance, Duanmu Xiaoman raised her eyebrows, and her cold smile was enough to freeze people. "Today you must die." Boom. Perhaps he had expected Duanmu Xiaoman's strength. Ryusutin laughed wildly. Long Ben army, heaven and earth return together. Break the array. Ha! Duanmu Xiaoman, who sensed that something was wrong, quickly fell back, and the golden armored army in front of her split into two. At the same time, they shouted, and a golden aura circle wrapped around her body. Boom! In an instant, above the void, the heaven army and the earth army lined up, layer upon layer, and the formation of millions of people made people's eyes tremble. The golden shields connected, and the dragon snake spear shot out from the gap, and the huge energy turned into majestic golden streamers, shooting towards the gap of the array. "You want to break my mountain gate? You don't have the strength yet." Duanmu Xiaoman had already returned to the front peak of Zhongzhen, and the 10 elders were standing on the eye of the array, and the violent energy swept through the sky. Thousands of figures piled up into a human wall, guarding together. Suddenly, the violent energy like lightning and thunder filled the sky. Duanmu Xiaoman's snow-white phantom appeared frequently, and the terrifying energy began to surge, and the aura was extremely cold. At this moment, feather-like snow began to fall around Drive Heaven Creek. Illusory snow poured down, and endless killing intent swept across the sky. Chapter 24:39. Boom! The heavens and earth exploded, and a thunderous boom resounded throughout the mountains. The golden and blue lights collided and gathered on every crack in the formation. The beasts roared, and the cultivators attacked together. As far as the eye could see, the illusory sky was filled with ferocious energy. Light chains intertwined, and the space in their path was directly shattered. Chi-Chi, the giant curtain-like mountain-guarding formation, began to sway. Under the pressure of the void-destroying force, the formation that was on the verge of collapse could collapse at any moment. Above the raging sky, the space trembled. Strong winds blew, and the destructive power spread out. This kind of terrifying power made Merciless West, Chi Fei Hong, and the others look over. Even they could only watch from afar, trying their best to inject their energy into the void. At this time, they also knew that if it wasn't for Duanmu Xiaoman's support, the Imperial Palace would have been broken through just now. "You guys hold on, I'll go and kill that guy." Duanmu Xiaoman raised her eyes, and the strength of a half-step Yuan Tian expert suddenly erupted. Streaks of snow-white lightning rushed out of the sky, and Duanmu Xiaoman's figure was already infinitely close to the edge of the protective formation. "Duanmu Xiaoman, you can't stop me." Seeing that the situation was in his hands, Ryusutin laughed maniacally. His dark yellow teeth were exposed in the air, and his entire body emitted an aura of death like a demon. In the next second, a terrifying golden dragon aura that could destroy the heavens and earth rushed out in all directions. The air was filled with the sound of explosions. If nothing unexpected happened, even with Duanmu Xiaoman holding the fort, the destruction of the imperial palace was already a foregone conclusion. Seeing the terrifying energy spread out, the disciples of the imperial palace began to hurriedly escape. Some of them were even dumbfounded. There were also some whose faces were pale, and they were so frightened by the pressure that they didn't even have the strength to escape. Duanmu Xiaoman's eyes darkened, and she took a deep breath. Her hands clenched into fists, and she directly pushed her palms out towards Ryusutin. Boom! The roaring sound of the storm instantly drowned out the cries of the surrounding people. The incomparably powerful Ice Luan's power proudly whistled through the blue dome of heaven, like a bolt of lightning piercing through heaven and earth. It was as if it wanted to destroy Ryusutin. Go! Ryusutin had obviously expected this. His lips curled into a sly smile as he grabbed a long Ben army soldier in each hand and flew towards Duanmu Xiaoman. As the lightning struck, the two young men of the Dragon Guard were smashed into pieces. Blood mist sprayed out and exploded. Howls and screams resounded through the world. Suddenly, Ryusutin's figure turned into a phantom and rose up. Looking down at the woman who had once crushed him into a cripple, Ryusutin laughed wildly. Duanmu Xiaoman, today is the day you die. It's a pity that I can't get close to you. In your next life, remember me. I am Ryusutin. As soon as he finished speaking, Duanmu Xiaoman raised her eyebrows. In the middle of the long Ben army that had spread to both sides, the figure of an old man appeared. The old man's face was flushed red. His dark green left eye was like a cat's, while his right eye was tightly shut. His dry skin was like a dried leaf that had been burned by a raging fire, giving off a boundless feeling of desolation. Apart from his eyes, when his facial features were put together, there was always an indescribable feeling of strangeness. No matter how one looked at it, it was strange. Suddenly, Duanmu Xiaoman lightly tapped her foot and floated backwards. She discovered that her figure had actually been locked onto by the old man in front of her. It had been a very, very long time. She couldn't remember how long it had been. Duanmu Xiaoman had actually been locked onto by someone else. Suddenly, a throbbing feeling appeared in her heart. Duanmu Xiaoman realized that the old man in front of her was gloomy to a frightening degree. Palace Master. Behind her, Long Pasan and the others stood at the center of the formation and madly shouted. This old man who had suddenly appeared was no ordinary person. As the old man slowly walked out, the usually calm Duanmu Xiaoman's aura fluctuated greatly. At this moment, everyone began to panic. Nothing could be allowed to happen to Duanmu Xiaoman. She was an existence even more important than the protective formation. Whoosh whoosh. In an instant, over 1,000 figures streaked across the sky like bombs. Merciless West, Qi Fei Hong, and the others were preparing to rescue Duanmu Xiaoman, but they were invisibly pushed back by an extremely powerful pressure. In an instant, screams, howls, and roars were all locked down by this enormous spatial seal. All was silent, but it was frightening. In just a short moment, the murderous aura of the Heavenly Drive sect began to surge. Countless gazes were fixed on the old man in the distant sky. No one knew what had happened. They only trembled all over. The murderous aura around this old man made them excited and terrified. Kiki, I didn't expect to see the embryonic form of the myriad star technique here. Little girl, tell me, who are you? Wild Owl narrowed his green left eye and faintly said to Duanmu Xiaoman. At this moment, Duanmu Xiaoman's cold face twitched slightly. The strange old man in front of her was terrifyingly powerful. In terms of cultivation, Duanmu Xiaoman could sense that this old man should be around half a step into Yuan Tian Stage 6. Even if she had some gains from the recent refinement, her cultivation was at most half a step into Yuan Tian Stage 4. Half a step into Yuan Tian Stage. Each stage was difficult. Duanmu Xiaoman's heart instantly sank. Her face was as cold as water as she softly said, "This is the Heavenly Drive Palace. I only cultivate the Heavenly Drive art. Don't you know? Heavenly Drive art? The idiots of the Heaven Barbarian race have simplified it quite a bit. Little girl, I don't know where you got this cultivation technique. However, you're using a cultivation technique that doesn't belong here. I'm afraid it's not a good thing to show off in a low-level starfield like the Heaven Barbarian race, right? Hearing this, Duanmu Xiaomon's face suddenly turned cold. Her tone also became murderous as she said, "You came from outside the realm?" Instantly, the old man's smile also stiffened. The corner of his mouth slightly curled up as he said, "Oh right, where's that brat? Tell that brat to come out. I've been chasing him for decades. Qingtian's injury was indeed caused by you. You bastard." Duanmu Xiaomon's eyes moved slightly as she formed a hand seal. Her murderous intent was overflowing. Noticing Duanmu Xiaomon's actions, the wild owl said with an undetectable smile, "The Heaven Barbarian race is really interesting. Not only are there traces of the 10,000 Star Laws art, but there's also the divine beast bloodline and the Heaven Suppressing Stone. How rare. However, today all of these will belong to me." After saying this, the wild owl's face instantly froze. He said in a low voice, "And you will be the sacrifice for me to enter the realm of the gods." Bang bang. Instantly, Duanmu Xiaomon's eyes were filled with shock. At this moment, she finally felt how terrifying the wild owl was. In the sky, everyone's eyes were filled with shock. It was difficult to breathe. Everyone seemed to have frozen as they stared at Duanmu Xiaoman, who was frozen in the air. Bang! Suddenly, the mysterious old man's dwarf-like body was surrounded by mysterious black runes. The sky was filled with the sound of crows screaming, and a vast, dark aura instantly engulfed heaven and earth. Chapter 2440. Bastard, I'm going to kill you. Elder Wang and the people from Yuqian Palace shouted angrily. However, no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't break through the spatial restriction. The disparity in strength brought a huge shock to his soul. Boom! When the black wind swept around Duanmu Xiaoman, everyone's eyes widened and they sucked in a breath of cold air. They didn't dare to look at the reality in front of them. Who dares to hurt my sister? Suddenly, the crisp cry of a crane cut through the sky from the snowy peak behind her. Between the mountains, a greenish-white aura shot into the sky as a huge green crane spread its wings and flew over. The figure on top of the crane was graceful and unparalleled. His eyes were like eagles soaring in the sky, and his lips were like the edge of a sword. His facial features were sharp and cold, and his aura was outstanding. Atlas Crane, is it him? It's that man. There's hope for Yuqian Palace. There's hope for Yuqian Palace. Many people present had burning eyes. Although most people still didn't understand the situation, Palace Master Gyue and the others who were at the eye of the array were already tearing up. Just now, the green-white figure that flashed past him, as well as the green-colored divine crane that he would never forget after seeing it once, were definitely the proudest existences of Imperial Celestial Palace. The strongest soul controller in the Tian Barbarian continent and the most talented in martial arts, the first Origin Sky realm in the Tian Barbarian continent, Duanmu Qingtian. Swoosh swoosh. The green crane spread its wings, and Duanmu Qingtian proudly flew in the sky with his hands behind his back. After drawing a perfect arc in the sky, he turned into a white sword shadow and charged into the spatial restriction. Boom! The restriction was broken and heaven and earth roared. In the blink of an eye, the entire Yuqian Palace was covered in flames and smoke. Huge energy rays struck the mountains and rivers. The sky turned upside down, and the sun and moon were reversed. It's Duanmu Qingtian. It's Duanmu Qingtian. Wild Owl, it's that kid. Kill him. Seeing that the Duanmu Qingtian was finally born, Ryusitan shouted excitedly in the sky. Seeing the Duanmu Qingtian was like seeing a golden heavenly stone. Hearing the sound, Wild Owl's attack on Duanmu Xiaoman also paused. Suddenly, the power of the Ice Luan erupted from Duanmu Xiaoman's entire body. Her entire body turned into a beam of light and shot backwards, but she was caught by Duanmu Qingtian, who had arrived just in time. Above the void, the goddess stood solemnly, holding up the sky. The pair of siblings faintly looked at the old wild owl opposite them. Unparalleled, killing intent shot through heaven and earth without any obstruction. "Sis, are you all right?" Duanmu Qingtian's voice was gloomy as he looked at his old enemy. His eyes were filled with deep fear. Duanmu Xiaoman slowly shook her head. She glanced at her brother and asked in a low voice, "How's your recovery?" Duanmu Qingtian's eyes flashed with frost. The corner of his mouth curled up as he said, "Just look at that old man. He's not much better. Just barely fight." Even without Duanmu Qingtian saying it, Duanmu Xiaoman knew in her heart that Duanmu Qingtian's cultivation was about the same as wild owls. According to Duanmu Qingtian, when the two met in the barbarian city, after a great battle, both of them were injured. Duanmu Qingtian was sealed in the void and sent to the Three Crow region. He had been recuperating from his injuries. Wild Owl was recruited by the Long family and treated as an honored guest. He had not left the Heavenly Palace for many years. Both of them were once at the Origin Sky realm, but because of their injuries, their cultivation had regressed. "Kid, we meet again. I noticed you in the Starfield God Investiture Cannon and followed you to the Sky Barbarian continent. Thank you so much. I didn't think that this barren land would have such a rich inheritance of gods. It's really a great discovery." Wild Owl's left eye glowed with a terrifying green light. After saying that, Wild Owl's greedy smile made one's hair stand on end. Duanmu Qingtian frowned and said in a low voice, "So the strange person in the God Investiture Cannon that day was you. The great ancient calamity has long been a taboo in the Starfield. You and I are just Starfield traversers. Why are you so aggressive?" Suddenly, Wild Owl pointed at Duanmu Qingtian and Duanmu Xiaoman. He did not hide his fanaticism at all as he roared, "Look at you, and then look at the golden dragon bastards behind you. This is the power of gods. No one doesn't yearn for the realm of the gods. This is my pursuit, my lifelong pursuit. Bullsh asterisk T. Opening the realm of the gods means uncovering the secret of the great ancient calamity. This is a huge matter for the entire universe. No one can make a decision." "Ha ha ha." Wild Owl looked up at Duanmu Qingtian and said laughingly, "Under the great calamity, no one is unharmed. We must enjoy the power of gods before the end of the world. Don't you want to have supreme power? You're crazy. You're crazy." Duanmu Qingtian was so angry that he saw stars. The millions of people behind him were confused as they listened to their conversation. They did not know what they were talking about. At the side, Duanmu Xiaoman's expression changed. She had heard about the great ancient calamity from Su Yi. If that was the case, could it be that all of this was not a coincidence? The Palace of Driving the Heavens was originally a foreign object. Even the original name of the art of driving the heavens was the 10,000 Laws of Heavenly Star Art. The heaven-suppressing metal rock, Ice Luan, and Golden Dragon were divine beasts that did not belong to the Sky Barbarian continent. Could it be that even her Ai was not from the Sky Barbarian continent? Duanmu Xiaoman could not help but feel a chill in her heart when she thought of this. "Your Excellency, don't talk nonsense with them. Kill them. Everything here will be ours." Ryusutin's feverish eyes were suffused with a gaze of hatred. In the next second, he felt an extremely terrifying dark energy charge over. Ryusutin's pupils instantly dilated. Countless black crows wrapped around him like woodpeckers. Soon, Ryusutin fell into the black crow's gnawing. After a while, wails resounded through the clouds. The crows dispersed, and a complete air-dried skeleton fell from the void. The terrifying scene immediately caused everyone present to fall into panic. A super expert at the 9th level of the Origin Domain realm was like dust in front of this old man. What kind of terrifying power was this? An ant from a trashy starfield dares to command me. You deserve to die. Wild Owl glanced at the white skeleton from the corner of his eyes and frowned. He then looked up and fixed his gaze on Duanmu Qingtian and Duanmu Xiaoman. The omnipotent Heavenly Star art was left behind by the Heavenly Star Divine Palace. Be proud that you received the gift from the realm of the gods. I will walk the remaining path for you. As soon as he finished speaking, The power in Wild Owl's body surged. Under the control of Wild Owl's violent soul energy, the million-strong Long Ben army moved out again. Bang! Bang! The earth quaked and the mountains swayed. The enormous mountain-guarding array was instantly destroyed. A ferocious gale swept through heaven and earth, and the surrounding mountains suddenly exploded. Above the vast void, the array's light spots turned into lightning and flashed by. Wild Owl had already led the million-strong army into the heavenly command palace. "Retreat!" Duanmu Qingtian shouted, pulling Duanmu Xiaoman. The two of them instantly returned to the peak in front of the epicenter. At this moment, the 10 dukes and elders fell from the array's core. Blood splattered everywhere, and their souls were shaken. It was obvious that they had suffered a huge impact. Chapter 2441. Wails and cries filled the land as large amounts of blood mist scattered across the horizon. Terrifying rumbling sounds could be heard everywhere in the imperial palace. At this moment, the Long Ben army had turned into a golden tide that permeated the mountains and rivers. Golden spears clashed as heaven and earth shook. The violent aura of the golden dragon clashed with the raging souls, converging into a resplendent and terrifying torrent that rapidly exploded in the depths of the sky. Boom! Demon-subduing sect, Chaos Region, Imperial Palace. Tens of thousands of Origin Chi rays shot out as countless martial artists participated in this unprecedented slaughter. In an instant, corpses were strewn everywhere as roars shook the heavens. Demonic beasts with bloodshot eyes spread their huge wings and flapped their demonic radiance. The martial artists' soul skills were even more dazzling in the sky. Bang! In just a short while, the golden armored army had already gained the upper hand. Their fighting spirit was high as they charged into the mountains and rivers like raging bulls. In the blink of an eye, the mountains and rivers exploded due to the huge force. The ear-piercing sound of the explosion was transmitted into everyone's eardrums, causing them to be extremely shocked. Duanmu Qingtian raised his brows and looked towards the horizon. At this moment, Wild Owl was frowning from afar. His sinister smile made one's hair stand on end. The Long Ben army beside him seemed to have gone crazy. Under the huge pressure, they fought with the martial artists and demonic beasts that covered the mountains and rivers. Baleful aura soared to the sky, and it was incomparably bloody. Kill! Charge! For the Imperial Palace, God bless our palace. Palace Lord Duanmu, today we swear to live and die with the Imperial Palace. Gyue and the rest stood up and wiped the dark red blood from the corner of their mouths. Looking at the resplendent light that covered the mountains and plains, they tapped their feet and charged into the vast battlefield. Duanmu Xiaoman and Duanmu Qingtian's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness. Separated by tens of thousands of figures, they looked at Wild Owl in the sky. "Let's work together and finish him off," Duanmu Xiaoman said coldly. Crack! Duanmu Qingtian raised his resolute face, squinted his eyes, and said softly, "Sister, be careful. I don't know what this guy swallowed, but his recovery speed is much faster than mine. Be careful." Hearing this, Duanmu Xiaoman frowned. She nodded at Duanmu Qingtian and said in a serious voice, "No matter what, we will advance and retreat together." "All right." The corners of Duanmu Qingtian's mouth curled up. He spread out his arms, and extended rays of light surged in all directions. The light shadow in his hand instantly transformed into thousands of sword rays that shot out, covering the sky and covering the sun. It was impossible to guard against them. Chila. Following the arc of Duanmu Qingtian's violent slash, the Duanmu Xiaoman gently raised her white hand. Together with the azure wind and snow, they transformed into the enormous figure of an ice luan, pressing down on the sky. The divine and domineering ice luan spread its wings, spanning over 1,000 meters. Its entire body was blue, and as it gently flapped its wings, an aura that made one's soul tremble spread out. In midair, two rays of light directly exploded like meteors colliding with each other. In an instant, the snow-white sword rays flew towards the wild owl. Good timing. Seeing that the siblings were of the same mind, the wild owl grinned coldly. He pushed both of his hands forward, and violent black energy rays with traces of frightening electric arcs suddenly swept out like a hurricane. Boom, boom, boom. The numerous mountain ranges below directly cracked and collapsed under this terrifying energy storm. Chila. In the void above, tens of thousands of people were instantly sent flying. Thousands of Long Ben army were also directly pushed back by such a violent impact. In the void above where they retreated, the extreme energy storm instantly spread out. In an instant, the experts of Juqian Palace, who were in the midst of a fierce battle, focused their attention on the battle between the siblings and the wild owl. Their eyes flickered, and their emotions fluctuated continuously. This is only a battle between half-step Yuan Tian experts. Let's try our best to bring the Long Ben army away from the central peak and make space for them. The shocking collision in front of them had completely alarmed all the experts present. Guyue's eyes flickered as he shouted at the others. Yes. Long Pasan, who was covered in blood, nodded at Guyue and said loudly, yes. Today, we will fight to the death with these little bastards. At this moment, as if he had thought of something, Long Pasan looked towards the central peak. Beside him, Luo Wia panted loudly and said, Palace Master has already arranged for the Su family and the Lu family to be placed in the heaven-controlling earth vein. The heaven-controlling earth vein was the foundation of Juqian Palace. Obviously, if Juqian Palace was lost, the Su family and the Lu family would undoubtedly die. If that's the case, let's fight. In the distance, Merciless West's ears were extremely sharp. Her blood-red eyes were wide open as her battle-intent soared. Desolate killing intent enveloped her entire body. She took a step forward, and a Long Ben army member was instantly sent flying. Boom, boom. Go! The experts of Juqian Palace no longer had any worries. Everyone glanced at the Juqian siblings and gritted their teeth. Their Yuan Qi radiated around them as they headed towards the other peaks. In the blink of an eye, apart from the central peak that had exploded, the 18 peaks of Juqian River and Archkay Lake were all filled with shocking battle rings. Sonic booms rang out continuously, and crazy ripples surged into the sky. Sister, are you okay? Supporting Duanmu Xiaoman with his left hand, Duanmu Qingtian stared at Wild Owl with a pale face. After the shocking attack, just now, the strength of the siblings and Wild Owl was immediately superior. Damn it, there's not much difference in cultivation. Why is this guy so strong? Duanmu Xiaoman's chest was red, and her eyes were filled with shock as she stared at Wild Owl in front of her. Taking a deep breath, there were only Duanmu Xiaoman, Duanmu Qingtian, and Wild Owl left on the central peak. Duanmu Qingtian let go of Duanmu Xiaoman, and with a serious face, he drew a huge array in front of him, and the mysterious patterns on it emitted a bright light. Turning around, Duanmu Qingtian's eyes lit up. This is the gap between the star realms. We are both half-step Yuan Tian realm cultivators, but his body and soul are far above ours. Sister, I know you have refined that thing. Let's activate it together. Duanmu Xiaoman sucked in a breath of cold air. Her cold pupils exuded waves of chilliness. She said softly, You know how to activate it? Duanmu Qingtian was silent for a second. Then he shook his head and said softly, That divine cauldron needs the real 10,000-star heavenly art to activate. It is extremely difficult to understand. But I still have to brace myself and try. Ha ha ha. On the opposite side, Wild Owl looked at the sister and brother who were standing still. His ugly face revealed an arrogant expression. He slowly landed on the central peak and said softly, Are you two trying to decide who will die first? Come on, beg me. Maybe I will let you go. Bang. Chila. As soon as his voice fell, Wild Owl's wrinkled black robe fluttered in the wind, and the fierce wind blew the stone slabs in front of him into the air. Behind Wild Owl, countless pitch-black space cracks instantly spread out. At this moment, Wild Owl was like a dark bird under the demon god. The black energy behind him gradually solidified into a black crow with sharp feathers, constantly letting out shrill cries. Chirp, chirp. The hoarse and scratching sound of the bird sounded like the crying of thousands of ghosts. Large amounts of dark clouds quickly gathered, and Wild Owl's aura once again soared in the dark. Chapter 2442. It was obvious that Wild Owl was also preparing for the final attack. Sister, let's give it a try. I will take the lead, and you will cover the back. Duanmu Qingtian opened her eyes and shouted at Duanmu Xiaoman behind her. Standing on the peak before the earthquake, Duanmu Xiaoman pursed her lips. From refining to using it, she knew better than anyone how terrifying the Imperial Sky Cauldron was. However, no one had ever seen the true power of the Imperial Sky Cauldron, much less the side effects of the Imperial Sky Cauldron. In other words, Duanmu Xiaoman had no idea how terrifying the consequences of using the Imperial Sky Cauldron would be. It's too late. Duanmu Qingtian's voice echoed in Duanmu Xiaoman's ears. She had just fulfilled her master, Ninshi Hui's wish. Was she going to follow in her master's footsteps? Duanmu Xiaoman was afraid. Duanmu Xiaoman, who had always been as calm as ice, was afraid that she would not be able to wait for her beloved like her master. She would not be able to wait for Su-yi. At this moment, she really wanted to see Su-yi again. In the distance, a golden light shot over from the peak after the earthquake. The ferocious force pushed the turbid waves far away. It was Duanmu Xiongtu who was flying over. Looking at the golden light that Duanmu Xiongtu shot out, Duanmu Xiaoman's heart was incomparably calm. No matter what, her master Nanshi Hui had fought for her entire life for the love of her heart. Duanmu Xiaoman also wanted to do the same. Duanmu Xiaoman had lived for Duanmu Qingtian in her previous life. In the next half of her life, Duanmu Xiaoman wanted to live for herself. In the exploding space, the heaven and earth were turbid. The sky in the distance was a mess. Suddenly, a terrifying force that could move mountains and overturn seas shot out from the peak before the earthquake. Heavens, what kind of force is that? Look, what is Palace Master Duanmu doing on the peak before the earthquake? In Merciless West, Qi Feihong, Long Pasan, and the others were fighting on their respective peaks. At this moment, they felt a sharp aura rushing towards the heavens and earth. Their expressions changed instantly, and they looked towards the peak before them. His eyes flickered, and everyone who looked at him felt a transcendent power that could destroy the heavens and earth erupt. On the peak before the earthquake, Duanmu Qingtian had already been forcefully pushed to Duanmu Xiaoman's side. Duanmu Xiaoman's gaze was solemn. Her white moon robe fluttered slightly, and a three-legged azure divine cauldron appeared before her. Dense light patterns flowed on it, and an overwhelming amount of soul energy burst out, instantly passing through the distorted space and sweeping in all directions. Duanmu Xiaoman's Duanmu Xiaoman's Duanmu Mu Xiaoman, Duanmu Mu 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 Xiaoman, Duanmu Mu 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 Duanmu Duanmu Mu 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 Duanmu Mu Mu Duanmu. The heavens are protecting our imperial palace. The divine cauldron radiated light in all directions, as though it was bathing in holy light. Waves after waves of soul attack power surged between heaven and earth like a tide, and azure light scattered into the sky along with a profound brilliance. The hearts of the experts who had witnessed everything surged, and they were extremely excited. The descent of the legendary divine cauldron made their hearts tremble. Palace Master, you have sacrificed too much for the Imperial Heavenly Palace. At this moment, on a mountain peak, Palace Master Gyue's eyes were brimming with tears as he stared at the phenomenon on the mountain peak in the distance, his chest heaving up and down. As the only Vice Palace Lord of the Imperial Heavenly Palace, Gyue knew better than anyone that it was not easy to obtain the Imperial Heavenly Cauldron. According to ancient records, the first Palace Lord of the Imperial Celestial Palace had coincidentally obtained the complete version of the Imperial Celestial Art. After that, he cooperated with the Leaf family to forge the Imperial Celestial Cauldron. The appearance of the divine cauldron created mysterious phenomena in the heavens. All the great desolate Aeon gods and demons did not dare to obey. As for what kind of great battle the Imperial Heaven Cauldron was used for and what kind of battle records the Imperial Heaven Palace had, there were no records in the ancient books. Therefore, Gyue guessed that the Imperial Heavenly Cauldron existed, but who in history had really used the Imperial Heavenly Cauldron? The answer was no. At this moment, on the mountain peak in front of the center, Duanmu Xiaoman's Duanmu Xiaoman and Duanmu Qingtian's bodies were glistening with divine light, and fierce soul energy swept across the sky like divine chains. Duanmu Xiaoman, who was illuminated by the divine light, had her hair fluttering in the wind, and she looked like a god. Her blue eyes overflowed with brilliant splendor, and the omnipresent ice spirit wrapped around the divine cauldron. At this moment, the divine cauldron was emitting an ice-cold aura that could shake one's heart. Sister, Duanmu Qingtian pushed his hands forward and poured his soul energy into the cauldron, but he was bounced back by an even more terrifying and powerful energy. Looking at Duanmu Xiaoman in a daze, Duanmu Qingtian's entire body stiffened. The Imperial Heavenly Cauldron can't be opened with the current Imperial Heavenly Cauldron. I can only use the Ice Luan's divine power to reverse the situation. Forgive sister for being impulsive, but the Imperial Heavenly Cauldron will depend on you from now on. At this moment, because of a surge of the Ice Luan's power, Duanmu Xiaoman's voice seemed to have been squeezed out from between her teeth. As soon as her voice fell, Wild Owl's expression on the opposite side changed. The untamed look in his eyes had long been replaced by shock. The terrifying power that erupted from Duanmu Xiaoman in front of him was absolutely beyond his imagination. Impossible, you can't control this kind of divine object. Saying that, Wild Owl took a step back. The black energy storm continued to surge, but it didn't have the insufferably arrogant impact from before. Suddenly, facing Wild Owl's provocation, Duanmu Xiaoman faintly glanced at the shocked Duanmu Qingtian. She turned around and lightly tapped her feet. The ice spirits around her lifted the entire Imperial Heavenly Cauldron. Duanmu Xiaoman's figure also gradually rose into the sky. In her mystical eyes, Duanmu Xiaoman revealed a faint disdainful look. She softly said, "Want to destroy my Imperial Heavenly Cauldron? You're still a bit too early." "Don't, sister. Palace Lord, don't. Palace Lord Duanmu. You dare." Everyone started to feel afraid at this moment. Even Wild Owl revealed the fear in his heart. The terrifying Imperial Heavenly Cauldron rapidly rose into the sky. Instantly, countless terrifying ancient remnant souls rushed out from the top. The azure blue demonic souls covered the sky and earth. When the Imperial Heavenly Cauldron aimed at Wild Owl, the sky began to change color. The heaven and earth seemed to have collapsed. The terrifying energy it carried was as if it wanted to directly destroy people. In the next instant, Duanmu Xiaoman's movements were smooth as flowing water. The azure light from her body completely surged out. A streak of icy blue blood essence between her brows turned into energy that filled the sky. It directed the ancient remnant souls to sweep through the heaven and earth to attack Wild Owl's body. Roar! Under the domineering and disdainful blue light, countless ancient remnant souls attracted the energy of heaven and earth. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth, and all kinds of elements gathered together and collided with a black energy ball in the distance. In an instant, the heaven and earth changed color. Streaks of pitch-black spatial ripples erupted. A huge force that could devour all life spread across the heaven and earth. It spread out like lightning. When they realized that Duanmu Xiaoman was sacrificing her life to save the Imperial Heavenly Cauldron, everyone withdrew their attacks and rushed towards the front peak of the central tremor. At the same time, the terrifying Dragon Legion also gathered towards the front peak of the central tremor like a storm. Chapter 2443. At this time, the mountain in front of Zhongzhen Mountain had already become a violent, icy blue storm area. Even Duanmu Qingtian, who was a half-step Yuan Tian stage cultivator, was directly blown to the mountain behind Guyu. Bang! The mountain peak was directly sliced off. Amidst the loud explosion, Duanmu Qingtian's body was covered in blood. He could only watch as the central peak was covered in ice and snow. This was a snowstorm that no one had ever seen in their entire lives. Among the countless ancient remnant souls, there were martial venerables from before, demon sovereigns from the ancient era, and even more powerful forces that no one had ever seen before. At this time, under the guidance of the Ice Luan's essence blood, the remnant souls all rushed out of the heaven-controlling divine cauldron and blasted towards the black energy ball. At this moment, an earth-shattering explosion resounded throughout the world. Wild Owl was instantly submerged in the snowstorm. Within the boundless energy ball, Wild Owl's cries for help were like mosquitoes and flies, almost inaudible. "Quick, save my sister! Save my sister!" Duanmu Qingtian's body was like a peeling tile. His veins had started to shrink due to the extreme low temperature just now. However, Duanmu Qingtian did not care at all. He wanted to save his sister, no matter what method he had to use, even if it meant losing his life. "Didn't you hear what your sister said just now? She's already prepared to die." Duanmu Xiong too immediately rushed to Duanmu Qingtian's side and grabbed Duanmu Qingtian's arm. His eyes were completely red. Wild Owl's mournful cries resounded throughout the world. In the hearts of countless people from the heaven-controlling palace, this was definitely a heart-wrenching pain. "That's my sister. The sister that waited for me for dozens of years." Duanmu Qingtian roared. He owed her too much. How could he let Duanmu Xiaoman sacrifice everything for the heaven-controlling palace? "Palace Lord, Palace Lord, use this old man's life to exchange for yours." "Palace Lord Duanmu, no. Please come out. Even if Heavenly Command Palace is gone, it can be rebuilt. Palace Lord, please come out." The experts of the Command Heavenly Palace, demon-subduing sect, and Chaos Region were all weeping. They knew that Duanmu Xiaoman was overdrawing her life to exchange for everything. Immediately, everyone knelt on the hillside, wailing, howling, and weeping bitterly. No one was willing to exchange the goddess's life for the peace of the imperial heavenly palace. At this moment, Duanmu Qingtian's eyes were trembling. He grabbed the struggling Duanmu Qingtian and said, "Qingtian, you and your sister are good. Handing you all over to Shi Hui was the best decision I've ever made in my life." Upon hearing his master Shi Hui's name, Duanmu Qingtian's eyes, which were swollen from crying, rippled. His stiff hands hung in the air, unable to put them down. At this moment, the millions of Long Ben army that had received the telepathy of the Wild Owl rushed into the Frostblood storm like moths to a flame. Bang, bang, bang. In an instant, corpses were strewn everywhere. The endless golden light was annihilated by the destructive ice and snow. There was no sign of struggle. The absolute power extinguished the Long Ben army like a candle flame. Seeing this scene, the boiling blood of all the people of Command Heavenly Palace froze. Their souls trembled, and they couldn't move at all. In front of the epicenter, the might of the heavens floated. The incomparably powerful water attribute energy destroyed the heaven and earth. The wind and clouds surged in the sky, shocking everyone's soul. This was a massacre that Duanmu Xiaoman exchanged her life for. Cries for help, cries, and roars filled the heaven and earth. All the Long Ben army knew that they were walking on a path to death, but they had no choice but to walk on it. Because of the guidance of the Wild Owl's telepathy, they could only rush in one after another to save the Wild Owl. The golden light that was like an angry dragon continuously poured on the azure storm. Soon, it turned into specks of light and scattered. The invincible Long Ben army of a generation lost their lives just like that. More than half of the Long Ben army disappeared in the blink of an eye under the monstrous power of the ancient remnant souls. The people of Command Heavenly Palace who recognized the reality had ashen faces. They looked at Command Heavenly Palace in despair. But this was not the result they wanted. "Sister, why are you so foolish? You still have Sui. Duanmu Qingtian knelt heavily on the mountain peak. In the storm, Duanmu Xiaomon's figure stood proudly in the void. Her delicate body turned into a huge force that carried command heavenly palace towards the light. Looking at that godlike figure, domineering and disdainful, Merciless West and Qi Feihong began to cry secretly. Han Wulong, Han Yuro, and the others were also crying. The boundless sect will remember the grace of the goddess for 10,000 years. The Chaos region will forever remember the grace of the goddess. The demon-subduing sect thanks the heavenly palace goddess on behalf of the people of Yuzhou. All around, on the vast mountain peaks, the demonic beasts roared together. Their roars were filled with solemnity and endless sadness. A huge demonic wind swept across the world. This was a ceremony that only happened when the sovereign of the demonic beasts perished. Even the demonic beasts knew that the heavenly palace goddess was saving the world. Because of the goddess' actions, the heavenly barbarians would last for 10,000 years. Oh, the roars of the demonic beasts shook the sky, and the forest shook. Everyone's eyes were filled with emotions. Tens of thousands of figures bowed towards the mountain peak. The disciples of Command Heavenly Palace knelt on the ground, their souls shaking and tears streaming down their faces. No one had the ability to change the situation. The only thing they could do was to send the Heavenly Palace goddess off. Let me go, I want to save my sister. In Duanmu Qingtian's dazed eyes, his tears had long dried up. Watching Duanmu Xiaoman, whose blood was thicker than water, releasing a terrifying pressure in the storm, Duanmu Qingtian's eyes were already filled with the will to die. Everyone present could lose hope in Duanmu Xiaoman, but he couldn't. I want to save her. She's my sister. Turning his head, Duanmu Qingtian looked at Duanmu Xiongtu and roared. At this moment, the sky seemed to be unable to withstand the violent energy of the ancient remnant spirits. In an instant, a huge explosion resounded through the world. It was as if the sky had collapsed and the earth had cracked open, causing everyone's soul to tremble. Following the sound of the explosion, everyone's surprised gazes were cast towards the horizon. Within the crack, countless mysterious runes gathered in the air. Soon, they transformed into an ancient bell that shone with brilliant light. As the ancient bell descended, the space became as bright as day. The shattered space collapsed in an instant. Then, a fiery red light burst out like a sun. Instantly, everyone's faces changed. They put away their hopeless expressions and opened their mouths wide. Because the person in the fire was none other than Su Yi, whom they hadn't seen for a long time. Su, it's the king of sky prides. It's the king of sky prides. Su Yi. Oh my God, isn't he suppressed deep in the earth's core? In the next moment, Su Yi brandished the blood demon killing god sword in front of him, and an extremely cold and terrifying light shot out. With a light step, he rushed out of the ancient bell's encirclement. Su Yi stepped on the ground and looked up. His gaze fell on Duanmu Xiaoman, who had turned blue in the ice storm. His eyes rippled. Immediately after, without any delay, Su Yi's eyes shot out murderous intent. Blood-red sword runes shot to the heavens and earth as a loud shout rang out. Chapter 2444. His angry roar was like rolling thunder, causing people's souls to tremble. Immediately, Su Yi's figure rushed into the ice storm like a phantom. Suddenly, a vast aura spread out, and more than half of the Long Ben army that was already on the brink of destruction were sent flying. He went in. Su Yi went in. He's here to save Palace Master Duanmu. Heavens, Yutian Palace is saved. Palace Lord, hold on. Ancestors of Heavenly Command Palace, you must protect Palace Master Duanmu and ensure his survival. In an instant, everyone present opened their eyes wide in disbelief. After killing so many of the Long Ben army's Imperial Palace array, Su Yi actually went in so easily. Su Yi felt his cultivation soar once again. That terrifyingly sharp sword Qi pierced through the sky and rushed into the wind and snow like cutting vegetables. Su-yi. Seeing Su-yi enter the Zhongzhen front peak, Duanmu Qingtian's eyes suddenly became clear. He breathed heavily and hot tears rolled down his cheeks. "Save my sister, Su-yi. You must save my sister." Duanmu Qingtian's mouth trembled and his entire body tensed up. At this moment, the Zhongzhen front peak in the storm had already turned into a world of ice. The azure blue Duanmu Xiaoman had already lost her heat, but her sparkling and translucent eyes were still staring at the distant senior wild owl, who was sealed in ice with only half an eye remaining. "Xiaoman, you've suffered." Holding the sword in his left hand, Su-yi hugged Duanmu Xiaoman from behind and said while choking with sobs. Duanmu Xiaoman, who was covered in frost and snow, was like an ice sculpture. She did not feel anything, and her long eyelashes were suffused with ice crystals. She looked like Nan Shi Hui in a world of ice and snow. Hugging the Duanmu Xiaoman, Su-yi's heart instantly turned cold. The Duanmu Xiaoman's arms had already lost her normal body temperature. "Xiaoman, it's me. Wake up, I'm Su-yi." Su-yi choked. How could he care about the ancient remnant soul and wild owl? During this period of time, Su-yi seemed to have shed a lifetime's worth of tears. After coming out of the Myriad Sword Mountain, Su-yi received news of the Long family launching a large-scale attack on the Yuqian Palace. Without stopping to rest, Su-yi, Lu Ruoxi, Tunten, and Shengwan Tianchun tore open a spatial rift and arrived at this place. However, they did not expect to see such a scene. What he saw was Duanmu Xiaoman sacrificing her life in exchange for the safety of the Heavenly Palace. Suddenly, Su-yi's heart returned to the time when Dugu Yuma passed away. His heart was incomparably desolate, and the hand holding the heavy sword could not help but tremble. Boom! With the Origin Supreme technique and the fire-suppressing Heaven Stone circulating rapidly, vigorous heat surged and burned. Hugging the Duanmu Xiaoman, Su-yi could still feel the bone-chilling coldness in the Duanmu Xiaoman's heart. Chilala! As if he had gone crazy, a huge net of flames gathered in front of Su-yi. Profound runes lingered around it, and violent energy emitted extreme energy, quickly melting the frost on Duanmu Xiaoman's body. Chilala! The ice crystals were melting at a slow speed. Su-yi looked over Duanmu Xiaoman's shoulder. Ah! At this moment, the wild owl, who was already drowned by the remnant soul, saw Su-yi using the fire-suppressing Heaven Stone. His fanatical eyes fiercely blinked twice, and finally, countless terrifying streams of light turned into thousands of black crows and flew into the sky. In the outside world, everyone's eyes were blazing with excitement. Looking at the fire of hope in the snowstorm, countless pairs of eyes were filled with longing, praying that Su-yi could save Duanmu Xiaoman. That was the soul of the Heavenly Command Palace, the lifeline of the Heavenly Command Palace. In the distance, Shengwan Tianchun finally found his daughter. The father and daughter hugged each other and cried. The people of the Tian Yao School covered their faces and twitched. Difficult. Just like the Heavenly Command Palace, the Tian Yao School had gone through too much. In the end, suffering and suffering were exchanged for eternal peace. How did you guys get out? Lu Ruoxi frowned as she stood beside Gyue. Gyue, a long pasan, and the others were anxiously waiting. Their flushed faces were filled with endless excitement as they whispered. Heavenly Wind Sword intent. Su-yi has comprehended the Heavenly Wind Sword intent. Right, Ruoxi? In the distance, Duanmu Xiongtu and Duanmu Qingtian quickly arrived in front of the people of the Heavenly Command Palace. Looking at the proud figure in the snowstorm, their eyes were filled with eagerness. Hearing this, Gyue, Merciless West, Qi Fei Hong, and the others all trembled and their souls shook. Thinking back to the 2 slashes of Su-yi's sword just now, it was enough to destroy the heavens and the earth. This kind of incomparably powerful sword intent contained an extreme and terrifying pressure. In an instant, everyone present stopped talking. Bang, bang, bang. At this time, Tunten had already turned into a huge black mountain. Its huge figure traversed the heavens and the earth. It stepped on the Long Ben army one by one, as if it was stepping on candy. Only half of the Long Ben army looked at the overwhelming pressure of the demon domain realm cultivator, and their momentum suddenly collapsed. Without any resistance, they turned into a bloody mist and dissipated. They never would have thought that this trip to the Heavenly Command Palace would be the road to the Long Ben army's destruction. Su-yi, you have to save my sister. With a burning gaze, Duanmu Qingtian clenches fists. Bright beads of sweat slid down his forehead as he stared at the blazing fireball. Boom, boom. In the snowstorm, heavy snowflakes fluttered in the air. Ancient remnant souls that covered the sky were like wild horses that had broken free of their reins and were galloping recklessly in the peak before the earthquake. If not for this storm, the Heavenly Command Palace would have been in ruins. In front of him, the blazing energy gradually melted Duanmu Xiaoman. The formless space suddenly changed shape. When the last ice crystal fell, Su-yi instantly felt Duanmu Xiaoman groan in pain. Xiaoman! Letting go of his hands, Su-yi screamed. Looking at the Duanmu Xiaoman who had returned to her original state but was incomparably weak, his heart was beating wildly. The ice and snow melted, adding a bit of beauty. The weak Duanmu Xiaoman raised her hands and formed a seal with great difficulty. A kind of energy squeezed out of her mind shot to the heavens and earth. The resplendent brilliance rushed to the heavens and earth. The energy surged above the heavenly command cauldron in front of her. Suddenly, a golden sound erupted from the cauldron. Boom! Thousands of remnant souls seemed to have sensed it and madly rushed towards the cauldron. In the vast peak before the earthquake, the transparent soul body stirred up a huge wave of wind. Streaks of crystal-clear light shot out, followed by the sound of space being torn apart. Whoosh, whoosh! Countless streams of light shuttled between Su-yi and Duanmu Xiaoman. Looking back, the hurricane blew up Duanmu Xiaoman's hair. Her face was as pale as a sheet of white paper. For the first time, Su-yi felt that the omnipotent heavenly command goddess was so haggard and delicate. The galloping wind and waves obstructed their advance. Su-yi could feel that there was a huge spatial restriction between the two. No matter how much strength he exerted, he couldn't cross it. He looked on helplessly as Duanmu Xiaoman kept the heavenly command cauldron. Above the sky, a powerful ripple appeared. The heavenly command cauldron brazenly landed on the ground. Boom! As if the bell of life had rung, the storm stopped. The energy stopped flowing. The heaven and earth returned to normal. At this moment, Duanmu Xiaoman was like a willow that had lost its vitality. Her eyes were blurred, and her cherry lips were moving. Xiaoman! Chapter 2445. Dawn! As if the bell of life had rung, the storm stopped, the energy stopped flowing, and the heaven and earth returned to normal. At this moment, Duanmu Xiaoman was like a willow that had lost its vitality. Her eyes were blurred, and her cherry lips were moving slightly. Xiaoman! Su-yi, who could finally move, rushed to Duanmu Xiaoman's side and supported her, shouting loudly. In his arms, Duanmu Xiaoman looked at Su-yi, and a trace of comfort flashed through her weak eyes. Her white hand brushed Su-yi's cheek, and she said softly, Su-yi, I've been waiting for you for so long. He held Duanmu Xiaoman's hand tightly, and the cold temperature was like a knife cutting through his heart. His face was gloomy, and his eyes were burning with anxiety. Boom! The wind and snow in front of the mountain dissipated, and the sky suddenly lit up. Between the shattered mountains and rivers, several figures of experts shot out like phantoms. Su-yi, how is my sister? Duanmu Qingtian had not yet landed, but he was immediately pulled back by Guiyue, Duanmu Xiongtu, and the others. At this moment, Su-yi had already poured the spiritual liquid into Duanmu Xiaoman's mouth, and the art of driving the heavens was poured into Duanmu Xiaoman's body at the same time. A gust of wind blew around him, and the rich energy seemed to have been poured into the shattered water ball. After the energy circulated in Duanmu, Xiaoman's body, it directly shot out from the Tian Guan acupuncture point. How can this be? Duanmu Qing Tian panicked, and his eyes trembled, and his heart throbbed violently. Let's try it together, Guyue shouted loudly, and the 10 vassals and elders shook their auras. Dozens of terrifying auras began to fluctuate around Su, Yi, and Duanmu Xiaoman. Waves of powerful auras converged into a vast momentum, and the wind and clouds surged in the air. The temperature of heaven and earth also rose abruptly, and the terrifying aura spread between heaven and earth. No. Su Yi stood up in the halo where soul energies were intertwined. His face was trembling. His eyes were serious as he shouted. Suddenly, Duanmu Qingtian withdrew his palm power. Everyone present moved closer to scrutinize Duanmu Xiaoman. At this moment, Duanmu Xiaoman's aura was fading away at a speed visible to the naked eye. If not for the support of the spirit liquid earlier, she would have already died. This is the after effect of overdrawing blood essence. The Ice Luan is an ancient divine beast. Once its blood essence is gone, its life will be gone as well. Then what should we do? What should we do? Su Yi's voice trembled. 2 streaks of tears hung from his flustered face as he quickly observed the audience. In a flash, Duanmu Qingtian jumped up and lifted Duanmu Xiaoman while shouting, "Let's go, the Ice Phoenix High God is still here. If you beg her, you might still have a chance." Hearing this, Su Yi's eyes lit up as if he had found a straw to clutch at. His throat moved and his eyes flickered. The 2 of them quickly moved to the other side of Duanmu Xiaoman and flew towards the heaven burial frozen ground. Boom! Everyone watched as the 2 of them disappeared into the horizon. Their eyes were filled with worry. What should we do now? Long Pasan frowned. This battle with the Long family was a huge blow to the Heavenly Command Palace. Although the Long Ben army was destroyed, the Heavenly Command Palace was still greatly weakened. The Heavenly Command Palace, the demons subduing sect, and the realm of chaos were all heavily damaged. Let's take stock of our battle strength first. With the Long Ben army gone, we can't let Draconis successfully become a god. Guyue suppressed the grief in his heart and said, the battle of the half-step Yuan Tian stage was still vivid in everyone's mind. Everyone knew that if Draconis really reached Yuan Tian stage, there would be no more peaceful days in the Tian barbarian continent. In an instant, everyone was silent as they stared in the direction of the heaven burial frozen ground in a daze. Only then did the crowd disperse. Elder Guyue, where are my father and the others? Lu Ruashi's brows were filled with worry. It was obvious that she hadn't walked out of her emotions just now. I'll take you there. There are some things that I should let you know. Guyue walked over. Su Yi had already told Guyue and the others about the wild owl stealing the rainbow egg back then. Therefore, Lu Ruashi was able to receive full protection in the Heavenly Command Palace, and not just because she was Su Yi's sweetheart. In the heaven burial frozen ground, the wind and snow were still at loggerheads. Dark clouds covered the sky as 2 streaks of light streaked across the sky. Su Yi, I'll open the Ice Luan secret realm. You go in quickly. Okay. Time slowly passed. Su Yi carried the Duanmu Xiaoman, and the energy in his body seemed to cover the sky. After the Duanmu Qingtian created an icy blue whirlpool, Su Yi tapped his foot and rushed into the Ice Luan secret realm. Whoosh! The sound of ice crystals shattering resounded in his ears. Everything in front of him was a clear blue. Very quickly, Su Yi appeared in an icy blue world. Tranquil, peaceful, and without the tyrannical aura of the outside world. In the silent world, Su Yi's voice that was mixed with vitality instantly resounded through the world. Is there anyone? Ice Luan true God. After roaring 3 times, he still didn't see any signs of living creatures moving. In an instant, Su Yi burst out with the primordial chaos supreme technique, bringing with it countless air currents in the surrounding space, spinning out like a small tornado, faintly twisting the space. If you're here, hurry up and come out. Otherwise, I'll destroy your world. Perhaps due to the influence of Su Yi's Origin Supreme technique, the Duanmu Xiaoman weakly placed her hand on Su Yi's shoulder and lightly shook her head. "Xiaoman, you're awake." Su Yi was pleasantly surprised. He stared at the Duanmu Xiaoman and spoke softly. His heart was filled with waves. "Young man, if you use a little more strength, not only will she die faster, but I will also disappear." Hearing the voice, Su Yi immediately looked up. A pair of azure blue divine eyes appeared in the void before him. It was exactly the same as the one he saw in the spirit sacrifice abyss. This was the other part of the Ice Luan's soul. It was also the last part of the Sky Berserker's soul. "You must be the reincarnation of the Demon King," the Ice Luan said slowly. Suddenly, the Ice Luan flapped its wings in the void. A huge snowstorm immediately enveloped the Duanmu Xiaoman. She broke free from Su Yi's embrace and lay horizontally at a low altitude. Then, the Ice Luan's divine eyes blinked and placed the Duanmu Xiaoman on the sparkling and translucent ground. At the same time, the Duanmu Xiaoman's aura didn't dissipate. "You know me?" Sui looked up. "Our souls share the same body and memories. Otherwise, how do you think I can find the Demon King and send a message to the old guys?" Sui nodded and walked to the Duanmu Xiaoman's side. He said softly, "Since you know me, can you save my Xiaoman? I'm waiting for you." Not her. Unexpectedly, the Ice Luan's voice became abnormally serious. Compared to the Ice Luan in the spirit sacrifice abyss, this Ice Luan didn't seem to be easy to talk to. Immediately, Su Yi's expression darkened. His eyes shone brightly, and he said softly, "You don't want to save her? You don't want to save her?" The Ice Luan asked in return. "Are you kidding me?" Su Yi raised his eyebrows, and a sharp roar echoed in the air. "Ha ha ha!" The enormous Ice Luan flapped its wings, and a mysterious white snowstorm aura trembled. A transparent hole was torn open in the sky. The scene above caused Su Yi to fall silent. Chapter 2446. I can tell you how to save her, but please watch this video first. Frowning, Su Yi patiently watched the video in the sky. It was about how the first palace master obtained the 10,000 laws of heavenly star art. The 10,000 laws of heavenly star art came from the Heavenly Star Divine Palace in the realm of the gods. The Heavenly Star Divine Palace was responsible for controlling the fate of the stars and studying the souls of heaven and earth. It had a great reputation in the realm of the gods. After the first palace master of the Heavenly Palace, Chueyin, obtained the 10,000 laws of heavenly star art, she gradually built the Heavenly Palace and named it after the heavenly soul art. After that, Chueyin wandered the sky barbarian continent and met the Ice Luan, who was looking for the reincarnation of the Demon Emperor. The two made an agreement that the Heavenly Palace would help find the reincarnation of the Demon Emperor, while the Ice Luan would help the Heavenly Palace study the 10,000 laws of heavenly star art. She cooperated with the Leaf family to use the 10,000 laws of heavenly star art to refine the heavenly cauldron so that she could have more people to help find the Demon Emperor. However, the Leaf family was jealous, and Chueyin almost lost her life because the heavenly cauldron was stolen. After that, she focused on expanding the Heavenly Palace. The most important mission of the Heavenly Palace was to find the Demon Emperor. Seeing this, the ice crystals in the sky disappeared, and the figure of the Ice Luan reappeared in the sky. "So I'm here. I'm the Demon Emperor, and I order you to save my Xiaoman." Su Yi's voice was unusually serious. After a while, the sound of the Ice Luan gently spreading her wings resounded through the sky. The entire world was silent. "You're the reincarnation of the Demon Emperor. You're not the real Demon Emperor." The Ice Luan's unyielding attitude made Su Yi furious. He roared and took a step forward. His entire body's battle power surged between heaven and earth. "What do you want?" The Ice Luan true god chuckled. Her gentle voice was like a soft whisper as she said, "She's very important to you, but you have more important things. Do you know? The immemorial Great Calamity? The death of the Demon Emperor?" "I remember." Su-yi roared, impatient. Are you really ready? We 12 divine beasts have waited for you for so many years. We've searched for you for so many years. You have so many things to worry about in Heaven Berserker lands. Will you really make sufficient preparations for the common people? The Ice Wand's continuous questioning caused Su-yi to suddenly become serious. It turned out that the Ice Wand was worried that he hadn't made sufficient mental preparations for the immemorial Great Tribulation. In the eyes of the Ice Wand, Duanmu Xiaoman was tasked with bringing Su-yi to her side. Now that she was here, the Duanmu Xiaoman had already completed her mission. If Su-yi wasn't prepared, why would the Ice Wand waste its energy to help Su-yi? I've waited for too long. The other divine beasts have already left. I'm the only person in this world who's still waiting for hope. I can't gamble, even if you were the reincarnation of a demon emperor, the Ice Wand said faintly. I understand what you mean, but I will go to the outer realm. I will uncover my origins. My mother and my lover are still in the outer realm. I will definitely find them. No, that's your little love. There are only two immemorial Great Tribulation in this world. The third one is coming. If you can't stop it, I will do my best to leave Heaven Berserker lands and announce it to the entire world. My energy can't be wasted. The icy aura in the Ice Wand's secret realm trembled again. The terrifying temperature instantly caused Su-yi's heart to tremble. He turned his head to look at the Duanmu Xiaoman. Was he ready? Did he have the ability to stop this calamity? After pondering for a moment, Su-yi raised his eyebrows and looked at the Ice Wand. He said softly, I came from another world. Here, I found my love and hope. The realm of the gods also contains my memories and secrets. I also have great love for the common people. I, Su-yi, hereby swear that I will fight for love. I will make a promise for the heavens and earth. If I go against it, I will never return to earth. Facing the Ice Wand, Su-yi could only reveal his biggest secret. The Ice Wand stared closely at Su-yi. After a long time, it took a deep breath and nodded. Its beast eyes shone brightly as it said softly, I believe in the Phoenix's vision. Phoenix? Su-yi didn't expect this matter to involve the Phoenix. He heard the Ice Wand say, You obtained the Emperor Sparrow's bloodline. Do you remember what the Phoenix said? At that time, Su-yi obtained the Emperor Sparrow's essence blood in the Myriad Sword battlefield. It was the first time he met little handsome Su when he was still an egg. The Emperor Sparrow's essence blood belongs to the upper class of the Phoenix type. Even if she's not a Phoenix, it's enough. With the heaven-suppressing stone and my protection, she won't die. The Ice Wand said. Swallowing a mouthful of saliva, Su-yi said softly, Then what should I do? As he spoke, Su-yi began to activate the heaven-suppressing stone. A fierce fire energy surged up. His face immediately turned red and his eyes were bright. The temper of a young man. The Ice Wand laughed softly. Her blood energy is insufficient. Your Emperor Sparrow's bloodline is vigorous and vigorous. You also have the heaven-suppressing stone to provide energy, so it's just right to make up for it. At this moment, I'm building the array for you too. External force won't work. Let's use the most primitive method to merge the soul blood. In an instant, Su-yi's pores opened up. What is the Ice Wand talking about? What do you mean by the most primitive method? Su-yi repeated in a daze. The Ice Wand's voice instantly sank. She looked at the Duanmu Xiaoman on the ground. At this moment, the Duanmu Xiaoman, who was in a daze, heard the conversation. Her face turned red, and she didn't dare to say anything. You only have one chance. If you succeed, it will be a great opportunity for you too. Su-yi's body trembled slightly. He looked at the Duanmu Xiaoman. The Duanmu Xiaoman turned her head away. Her eyes were closed, and her cherry lips were red, adding to her charm. Xiaoman, for revenge. Su-yi curled his lips and sighed softly. Zung zung. In an instant, the sky brightened. The wind and snow mixed with terrifying energy enveloped the two like a curtain, gently covering the ground. 3 days passed by. Blood fell under the setting sun. Still not out yet. Still not out yet. Long Pasan anxiously walked in circles. His wide and short body was constantly circling around the peak before the earthquake. Can you stop circling? I'm also anxious. Duanmu Qingtian looked at Long Pasan with disgust. She unhappily snorted and then looked worriedly at the burial of Heaven Frost. At this time, the command Heavenly Palace had finished its repairs. The demon-subduing sect, Chaos Realm, and Boundless Sect had all settled down. The command Heavenly Palace had once again regained its former tranquility. Guyue rushed over from the distance. He looked at the merciless west. Chi Fei Hong was also anxiously waiting. He immediately said softly, "How is it? How is it? Still not out yet?" Merciless West drank a mouthful of wine. Her drunken eyes were cold. She softly said, "Has the Myriad Sword Alliance replied?" "That's right. The Sacred Mountain won a great victory. The Heavenly Dragon sect fled back to the Long family. The Endless Sky Sea region and the Thunderfire Temple both suffered heavy losses. Yi Yi and Ing Wuxiu also joined a Long family. Right now, the Long family's forces are not small." Chapter 2447. Guyue nodded. The situation was very clear now. Draconis was in seclusion. At the crucial moment of becoming a god, he would not come out of the Heaven Palace no matter what. Sky Dragon Sea region and Sky Dragon sect. Even if he went to the Long family, he would not be able to see Draconis for a while. There was still some time left for Su, Yi, and Duanmu Xiaoman. Gazing at the distant burial frigid grounds with faint traces of snow, Guyue asked seriously, "Palace Master and the others?" "Not yet." Stomping the ground, Duanmu Qingtian's handsome face showed a trace of anxiety. He said loudly, "Forget it. I'll go in and take a look." Raising her eyes, Duanmu Xiaoman's feet glowed with light. A powerful sword tip spread out. Far above the heaven burial cold ground, a vast aura spread out. The light was resplendent. The mountains trembled. G. Above the void, a huge emperor bird flapped its feathers and looked down at the world. The surging flames on its body were like a divine shower. In an instant, the sky above the burial frozen ground was covered in a red glow. The divine light was extinguished, and the flames were raging. The scorching heat caused the space to change shape rapidly. A large patch of red space rippled in the air. It was blazing fiercely. "Oh my God, that's Su Yi's emperor bird. Have they come out? What a powerful aura. This energy is much more terrifying than when Su Yi went in. What is going on inside?" The earth-shattering commotion not only shocked the powerhouses on the central peak, but also the people on the other peaks. They all looked in the direction of the burial frost ground with fear in their eyes. "Look, it's the emperor bird's chest." Han Wulong's eyes were the sharpest. He squinted his eyes and stared at the divine bird phantoms that blotted out the sky. His huge body was covered in flames. Chains of fire intertwined in front of his chest, and a blue light shot out from them. The emperor bird belongs to the phoenix bloodline. It is reborn from nirvana and the fusion of ice and fire. Guyue was amazed. He was not willing to close his mouth for a long time. At this moment, Duanmu Qingtian was laughing wildly. "Ha ha ha! We are saved. We are saved. Sister has been reborn with the help of Su Yi's Emperor Sparrow bloodline." Duanmu Qingtian laughed wildly as a stream of hot tears rolled down his cheeks. Suddenly, the expert's eyes were shocked. They did not expect the Emperor Bird bloodline to have such a miraculous use. Countless shocked and confused gazes looked towards the horizon. The red and blue light was dazzling and resplendent, and an enormous pressure pressed down on the world. Even though they were far enough away, Long Pasan and the others still felt their blood rushing. But everyone let out a sigh of relief in their hearts because Imperial Celestial Palace's foundation was stabilized. Under everyone's astonished gazes, the Emperor Sparrow's cry pierced through the clouds and cracked the stones. It pierced through the blue dome of heaven. Its crimson wings stirred up the wind and clouds. Under the illumination of the crimson flames, the mountains appeared gorgeous. At this moment, The mystical blue light on his chest became more and more resplendent. The moment the blue light broke out of his body, the boundless blue light pierced through the clouds and fought against the red light as an equal. As the light rays shot out, the sky changed color, and the rumbling sounds of beasts attracted the demonic beasts from the chaos region to fly up into the sky. Gazing solemnly at the two divine birds in the sky, the beast souls trembled. The roars of the beasts could be heard everywhere in the mountains and valleys, and the trembling beast souls completely erupted at this moment. Whoosh! A sharp cry of a phoenix resounded through heaven and earth. The sparkling and translucent azure light finally broke free from the Emperor Sparrow's encirclement. It spread its storm-like wings and let out a cry. Following the undulating mountains and rivers, the blue ice lawn swept through heaven and earth. Each of its wings spanned 1,000 feet and immediately turned the Imperial Heaven Palace into a world of ice and fire. Everyone looked up at the sky. Their eyes were solemn and respectful. The desolate aura made everyone's heart tremble. Just looking at the mystical scene made them very excited. After circling around, the ice lawn flew back to the burial cold ground. At this moment, the red light of the emperor bird disappeared. The huge divine beast shadow gradually materialized and turned into Su Yi's figure. The blue light descended on the burial cold ground. The shadow shrunk in the snow and finally turned into a human. Su Yi caught it with his majestic aura. Tisklan, as though gravity was gone, the snowflakes floating in the sky suddenly descended. The burial cold ground turned into a world of ice and snow again. Su Yi, who had caught Duanmu Xiaoman, moved like a phantom, rapidly rushing to the front peak of the epicenter. A fiery red arc streaked across the sky, and before anyone could notice, Su Yi had already landed gracefully on the front peak. Guyue, Merciless West, Qi Fei Hong, Duanmu Qingtian, and the others looked at Su Yi, who was carrying Duanmu Xiaoman. Their eyes were filled with astonishment. Looking at the majestic aura of Su Yi, their hearts were already in turmoil. Apart from the incomparably sharp sword aura, just Su Yi's soaring energy aura was enough to make an Origin sovereign expert vomit blood. Everyone's attention was on Su Yi. Guyue was the first to speak as they sized up Su Yi's cultivation aura. Su Yi, what's your cultivation level now? Su Yi's lips curled slightly as he looked at Duanmu Xiaoman in his arms. His starry eyes were filled with gentleness. 6th level of the Yuan domain realm. This is simply unheard of, never seen before. Duanmu Qingtian's eyes widened. After peeking at Su Yi's aura, his head shook nonstop in disbelief. 6th level of the Yuan domain realm. Everyone present swallowed a mouthful of saliva as though they were petrified. Su Yi was clearly only at the 1st level of the Yuan domain realm when he entered. Even with the sky wind sword intent protecting his body and his vigorous aura, his cultivation level couldn't lie. In just a few days' time, how did Su Yi's cultivation level soar? That was the Yuan domain realm. Merciless West and Impermanence Fairy looked at each other and smiled. Their eyes were filled with bitterness and helplessness. Could cultivation be as simple as eating candy in this kid's eyes? Let me see. Is it the 6th level of the Yuan domain realm? As though they were looking at something new, Long Pashan, Luo Wuya, and the rest surrounded Su Yi and sized him up in astonishment. Maintaining his original posture, Su Yi nodded and finally said, "This is all thanks to Xiaoman." At this moment, because Su Yi's transformation was truly too shocking, everyone recalled that the main character was supposed to be Duanmu Xiaoman. Duanmu Xiaoman wasn't used to being looked at by so many people. She instantly recalled the incident in the Ice Phoenix secret realm, and her face was incomparably red as she reprimanded, "Su Yi, quickly put me down." Duanmu Xiaoman tightly pursed her lips after she finished speaking, and her face was as red as an apricot. It was extremely inconsistent with her usual image in front of everyone. Su Yi shrugged and put Duanmu Xiaoman down with a light smile. Duanmu Xiaoman took a deep breath and tidied up her messy hair as her jade-like throat moved lightly. "How's the Imperial Palace now?" Everyone was talking at once as they reported the situation to Duanmu Xiaoman. Duanmu Xiaoman's eyes were drifting, and even though she was listening, she didn't leave Su Yi's side. At this moment, Duanmu Qingtian pulled Su Yi to the side, and the two of them were whispering something. Duanmu Xiaoman's eyes flickered as she lightly clenched her jade-like hands hidden in her sleeves. Chapter 2448. Are you really going to call me brother-in-law this time? Duanmu Qingtian stared at Su Yi with a playful smile. Su Yi smiled innocently and told Duanmu Qingtian everything that happened in there. Duanmu Qingtian nodded and sighed. "It's a blessing in disguise. Others can't feel it, but I know that my sister's cultivation has improved tremendously." Su Yi turned around and looked at Duanmu Xiaoman. The two looked at each other, and the latter looked away. Su Yi was delighted. "I didn't notice that, but the wild owl has been eliminated. The only one left is Draconis. If we work together and get rid of him, the world will be at peace." Su Yi's eyes lit up. Su Yi, hearing Duanmu Xiaoman's call, the two turned around and heard Duanmu Qingtian's voice. "I'll go and treat my injuries first. You deal with my sister. I'll continue to treat my injuries." Duanmu Qingtian turned into a sword light and flew across the sky like a ghost. Shangwan Tianxin's shout came from afar. "Qingtian master, wait a moment. You haven't seen my daughter yet. Jingyuan, and Jingyuan too." Very quickly, everyone dispersed under Duanmu Xiaoman's orders to prepare for tomorrow's dragon-conquering path. "What did Qingtian say to you just now?" Duanmu Xiaoman walked over gracefully. A fragrant wind wafted into his nose. It was like an icy blue, proud and pure. It made his heart light up. Su Yi's lips curled up, and his eyes lit up. "You don't understand men's matters." "Say it again." "Don't think that." Duanmu Xiaoman suddenly stopped, and her delicate body trembled. "What?" Su Yi smiled mischievously. He stared at this beautiful face and hugged her. "This is the front peak. You're crazy." Duanmu Qingtian frowned. Although she cursed, she allowed Su Yi to hug her without resisting. Su Yi closed his eyes and felt the warmth of life. His heart was filled with warmth, and he let go of her. Without any superfluous words, the two pairs of clear and translucent eyes only had each other. Duanmu Xiaoman's pupils gradually filled with a layer of mist. "Let's attack the Long family tomorrow," Su Yi said softly. Duanmu Xiaoman nodded. The situation in the 6 continents, 3 continents, and 1 ocean had already been settled. The remaining rebel forces were just small fish and shrimps. As long as Draconis died, the Long family to be to the heavenly barbarian. "Let's go see grandfather and father. There's still a tough battle ahead. Don't let them worry." Su Yi laughed heartily. The heaviness between his brows was instantly melted away by Duanmu Xiaoman's gentle words. He placed his arm on his waist, forming an empty space, saying, "Let's go." Duanmu Xiaoman immediately rolled her eyes at Su Yi and scolded, "I think you're getting more and more impudent. Do you really think the Imperial Palace is yours?" Su Yi said lazily as they walked, "I don't know whether the Imperial Palace is yours or not. Anyway, you can't run away. Shameless." Duanmu Xiaoman's voice was so soft that it was almost inaudible. After returning to the back of the mountain, Lu Ruashi finally found out that Wild Owl was her mother's murderer. Seeing Su Yi and Duanmu Xiaoman return safely, the three of them were overjoyed. Lu Ruashi's face finally broke into a bright smile after getting her revenge. The Su and Lu families celebrated together. Su Yi was also enjoying the joy before the big battle. Hearing that tomorrow was the day of the expedition, Su Jingyuan immediately stood up and said that he wanted to go. "Jingyuan, you..." Su Yantian sat down. His eyes were filled with seriousness as he waited for his son to return. "Father, the Long family is the main culprit who separated me from Su Yi's mother. How can I not go?" Su Jingyuan raised his brows and instantly unleashed his Yuan domain realm strength. After being stunned for a while, Su Yuntian looked at Su Yi inside. There was nothing he could do. Everyone understood Su Yuntian's thoughts. At that moment, Shengwan Tianqian happened to enter the door. Su Jingyuan said, "Tianqian, you came at the right time. This time, us brothers will fight again." Su Jingyuan gave Shengwan Tianqian a look. Shengwan Tianqian instantly understood and comforted Su Yuntian. Then, he said to Su Jingyuan, "I'm here to look for Su Yi. I'll go out with Su Yi for a while." "Looking for me?" Su Yi, who was dragged out, was puzzled. Why did Shengwan Tianqian come looking for him in the middle of the night instead of catching up with Tian Yao School? When he followed Shengwan Tianqian to Gongke Lake, Su Yi saw old friends he hadn't seen in a long time. Suruga, Gu Suxin, Mu Yao, and Situ Muyang, who was still seriously ill. Muyang. Looking at Situ Muyang, who was on the verge of collapsing, Su Yi immediately burst into tears and hugged him emotionally. It wasn't until he felt that Su Yi was really made of flesh and blood that Situ Muyang's lifeless eyes started to react. He instantly started to cry. Junior martial uncle, Situ Muyang, who was sobbing nonstop, was extremely emotional. He clenched his trembling hands tightly, and his voice was close to a low growl. Situ Muyang had been deceived by his grandfather. It was difficult for him to get rid of the knot in his heart. He had consumed his essence blood to save Su Yi, and his heart and soul had been hurt. When Suruga heard about the battle at Yuqian Palace, he immediately brought Situ Muyang back. The two of them met and chatted for a long time. The four people at the side also secretly shed tears and sighed. It was enough to have a brother like this for a lifetime. After feeding Situ Muyang the spiritual liquid, Situ Muyang's eyes were still red, and the corner of his mouth was slightly trembling. He had an indescribable feeling in his heart. After listening to Su Yi's words, Situ Muyang finally let out a long sigh. A trace of seriousness flashed across his young face. "I don't want to talk about my grandfather anymore. I've already said that I'll never set foot in the Myriad Sword Alliance again. After my mother passed away, I have no more attachments." Looking at Situ Muyang's determined expression, Su Yi's eyes flickered. He immediately turned his head and said to his master, "Master, Mu Yao, Elder Gu, please bring Mu Yang back to rest. Tomorrow, we'll have to conserve our energy for the battle." "I'll go too." Situ Muyang instantly exploded. "Situ Muyang, rest well. We have enough people. Don't force yourself." Su Yi's face darkened. He did not want Situ Muyang to be in danger again. Suddenly, Su Yi waved at Suruga and the rest. He patted Situ Muyang's shoulder and headed to the back of the mountain. Walking on the path at the back of the mountain, Su Yi did not think of Situ Muyang. Instead, he thought of his senior sister, Duga Yuma. "Yuma, are you okay?" Su Yi sighed softly. "Su Yi, Duga Yuma can still be saved." Shengwan Tianqian's voice came from the darkness. Looking back at Shengwan Tianqian, Su Yi's eyes flickered. "What did you say?" Su Yi thought he had misheard and asked again. "Come with me to look for Master." Shengwan Tianqian wasn't too sure either. Instantly, the two of them went to look for Duanmu Qingtian. While listening to the two's narration, Su Yi also set up the primordial ancient bell. The black and white moons shone on top of the divine bell, dazzling everyone's eyes. Chapter 2449. Looking at the two moons on the god clock, they were dazzling and enshrouded in a mysterious glow. The blue crystal moon pupils are rare. The Sky Barbarian continent actually has them. Duanmu Qingtian lifted his head and looked at the two moons, deep in thought. Su Yi's breath became long as he asked softly, "Is there a way?" Duanmu Qingtian shook his head and said to Su, "The Sky Barbarian continent has no way." Su Yi frowned as the fire in his heart was extinguished. Shengwan Tianqian's face also darkened. "What's wrong? Is it very important to you?" Duanmu Qingtian stretched. When he heard that Duanmu Qingtian had died for Su Yi, His eyes suddenly turned cold. It's a different story if you save my brother-in-law's life. There's still a way, Duanmu Qingtian said softly. Instantly, Su Yi's voice rose by a few decibels as he said agitatedly, "Didn't you say that the Sky Barbarian continent has no way? The Sky Barbarian continent has no way. But what did you do when you disappeared for more than 10 years?" Duanmu Qingtian's eyes lit up. "Star domain travel." Lifting his chin slightly, Duanmu Qingtian raised his eyebrows and said in a low voice, "All kinds of star zones will participate in the Star Zone God Investiture ceremony. Naturally, I've seen many strange people and strange things. I've also seen people with the blue crystal moon pupils. But it's really rare that the Sky Barbarian continent has them too." Su Yi's heart was in turmoil as he thought to himself, "Isn't there a lot of strange things in the Sky Barbarian continent?" Because of the Chaos Demonic Emperor, the Sky Barbarian continent had the heaven-suppressing stone and the ancient divine beast. The blue crystal moon pupils were even more common. Do you still remember the Sword King divine region that I told you about? Duanmu Qingtian raised his sword-like eyebrows and looked directly at Su Yi. He said softly, "That middle-class star system is a place where everyone is a soul controller who cultivates sword intent. We're the blue crystal twin moon pupils." Su Yi replied. Duanmu Qingtian nodded and told Su Yi that he had spoken to the people of the Sword King Galaxy. Among those who were going to participate in the God Investiture ceremony, there were people with the blue crystal double moon eyes. Blue crystal twin moon pupils. Logically speaking, the twin moon pupils shouldn't have remained in this world after the death of a person's soul. Perhaps your primordial ancient bell is too rare and has preserved the twin moon pupils, Duanmu Qingtian said faintly. Su Yi's heart was surging with emotions. He said loudly, "Master, have you heard of the primordial demonic emperor?" Suddenly, Duanmu Qingtian's expression became very interesting. He took 2 steps back, startling Shangwan Tianqian. He narrowed his eyes and looked around. Finally, his gaze fell on Su Yi. "Really?" Duanmu Qingtian sucked in a cold breath. Su Yi nodded firmly and said softly, "The Ice Luan has disappeared. She chose to believe in me." Duanmu Qingtian's eyes froze. He paused and then said softly, "Then you must go to the Sword King Divine Region. Go there and find someone. He will unravel all the secrets for you, including the Great Calamity." Shangwan Tianshan frowned as he listened to the two's conversation. However, he knew it must be something extremely important and didn't dare to disturb them. After listening for a long time, Shangwan Tianshan, who didn't understand, quietly left the room. In the second half of the night, Su Yi and Shangwan Tianshan chatted for most of the night. Under the candlelight, the two figures paced back and forth in the room. A serious atmosphere made Shangwan Tianshan feel uneasy. "Haha, I didn't expect that my sister would marry such a godlike person like you." While Shangwan Tianshan was unconscious, Duanmu Qingtian's voice instantly woke him up. He stood up and the two of them walked out of the room. The corners of Su Yi's mouth curled up slightly, but his brows were already relaxed. His gaze was as firm as a sword that shot through the sky. Shangwan Tianshan followed Su Yi and left Duanmu Qingtian's place. The two quickly returned to the epicenter rear peak. Behind them, Shangwan Tianshan couldn't help but ask, "Can we be saved?" Su Yi strode forward. His aura expanded. His body was like lightning. Flames surrounded him. He was very carefree. He said softly, "Of course we can be saved. Everything can be saved." After saying that, Su Yi's body drew a red arc in the air and returned to the heavenly divine palace. Su Yi, who was lying on the bed, couldn't suppress the excitement in his eyes. The information Duanmu Qingtian told him was simply too much. He would deal with Draconis tomorrow. Su Yi couldn't wait to start the trip to the star field. Mother, Yunjing, and Duga Yuma. Su Yi couldn't wait to see them. In the vast star field, what was hidden in the mysterious realm of the gods. Su Yi's eyes flickered and rippled. It was as if he had returned to his previous life. On the night of his wedding, the arrogant and unruly monarch, Hun Yuan Demon Emperor, a great calamity befell him, and he perished. Sleep. Beside him, Duanmu Xiaoman's cold voice sounded. Turning to look at Duanmu Xiaoman, Su Yi couldn't control himself and kissed her deeply. In the darkness, Duanmu Xiaoman only said one sentence, "Sleep. There's something important tomorrow." The golden sun shone down. The immortal qi of the heavenly divine palace was mixed with shocking killing intent and boiling battle intent. 7 to 8 million people were ready to go. They had already gathered at the heavenly divine palace. Gyue and the other elders, the experts of the chaos region, and the experts of the demon-subduing sect were all waiting at the front peak. Duanmu Xiaoman, Duanmu Qingtian, and Su Yi stepped on flowing light and flew over. High in the sky, the three people's robes fluttered in the wind. A domineering aura exuded from the three of them. From afar, it was as if three murderous gods were about to start a war of divine punishment. It was frightening. Today, the dragon-conquering road will decide the life and death of the heaven barbarians. Are you ready? Su Yi asked loudly. The sound waves shook the heavens. The sound waves that covered the mountains and plains were like energy-light pillars that shot into the sky, boiling the surrounding air. It was very exciting. Everyone here has a blood feud with the Long family. Kill the Long family and return peace to the heaven barbarians. Kill the Long family and return peace to the heaven barbarians. Kill the Long family and return peace to the heaven barbarians. Kill the Long family and return peace to the heaven barbarians. Under Duanmu Qingtian's encouragement, Shi Wuqing, Qi Feihong, and the others also began to roar. The demonic beasts on the hills and the sky roared towards the sky, and the surging demonic aura added a bit of solemn, killing intent to the entire place. After Su Yi and Duanmu Qingtian finished speaking, they all looked at Duanmu Xiaoman. Duanmu Xiaoman stood in the center. Her eyes were cold, and it went without saying that she was as cold as a blade. In the end, ice spirits floated around Duanmu Xiaoman. A fierce aura swept through the area like a storm. A huge spatial crack that stretched from the heavenly divine palace to the arched fault lake formed in front of her. Long family, let's go. Those few words were soft, but they had the power to crush mountains and rivers. In an instant, millions of people shouted at the same time. The noisy atmosphere was like a volcanic eruption. It surged into the spatial crack. Chapter 2450. Rumble. The raging army rode the wind and waves, shuttling through the dark space cracks. The raging wind swept past them, and terrifying electric arcs flowed, but it did not diminish the determination of the conquering dragon army at all. Duanmu Xiaoman, Duanmu Qingtian, and Su Yi stood in the wind, their calm eyes filled with murderous intent. Behind him, Shi Wuqing, Qi Feihong, Han Wulong, and the group of marquises and elders, and even the grand elders of the Command Heaven Palace moved out together. Their faces were all ashen, and powerful winds and waves were constantly erupting around them. This time, the Imperial Palace moved out in full force. 7 to 8 million people were fighting for the peace of the Sky Barbarians. Boom! Huge spatial ripples appeared in the surrounding space, like golden waves rolling over and over. The aura was extremely terrifying. We're almost there. The Brahma Dragon Celestial Palace. Su Yi's eyes were like torches as he said loudly. The light in front of him was dense, and it was the spatial exit. Su Yi's aura instantly became piercingly cold, as if it was cutting through the void. Hearing this, everyone present was shocked, and their eyes were filled with battle intent. Duanmu Xiaoman's robe fluttered, and her cold voice passed through the wind and thunder into everyone's ears. The Long family is almost there. Huh! Immediately, the martial artists roared, and the demon beasts howled. In the entire Sky Barbarians, no one had ever seen a spatial crack with so many people. This is the full battle force of the Imperial Palace. Damn it, tremble little dragons. Long Pasan shouted loudly, and the soul energy in his body surged into the sky. Draconis, today I will settle all the debts with you. Han Wulong's lips curled up, and his godlike physique was quickly enveloped by the aura of the golden dragon. A faint dragon tattoo appeared between his brows, adding to his domineering aura. On the other side, demonic beasts that blotted out the sky and covered the earth occupied the sky. Their eyes were filled with murderous intent, and between heaven and earth they spread their wings, and the wind swept away the light arcs in the space. In an instant, in the wind and thunder, everyone's murderous intent shot out. Streams of vigorous aura spread out, and surging murderous intent filled the vast space. Su Yi, the Yin family, the Taiching sect, the Thunderfire Temple, the Xinjiang Gate, the Holy Mountain, the Myriad Sword Alliance, and hundreds of other sects sent a message last night. They will arrive as soon as possible. Merciless West frowned, and an icy killing intent swept through the world. Good. Everyone, follow me to the heavenly palace. Su Yi's eyes darkened, and his dark eyes were filled with killing intent. As for the Long family, Su Yi had been waiting for this day. He had to take revenge for Elder Tang Wang. When he thought of Elder Tang Wang and all the people who had died because of the Long family, the killing intent in Lu Xiaoyou's eyes had reached an unbearable level. Kill. Vast and mighty, thousands of miles of wind and dust. Dazzling rays of light shot out in all directions and immediately turned into a giant energy beam that poured into the entrance of the heavenly palace. At this time, Tianlan City and Sky Dragon sect were already guarding the entrance of the battleship. On the invisible dragon stairs, Yi and Bahailong Eagle were guarding the entrance. From the dragon stairs to the deck of the battleship, and then to the heavenly palace, there were 3 lines of defense. The dragon stairs were guarded by Tianlan City and Sky Dragon sect. The deck of the battleship was guarded by Long Tsang, the elders of the heavenly palace, and Long Tsang's personal guards. In the end, the heavenly palace was guarded by the grand elders of the Long family and the honorable ones of the Long family, until Draconis became a god. No one had expected the situation to develop to this stage. They had thought that everything was under control in the Tianyan continent, but now Su Yi and Duanmu Xiaoman had forcibly stopped them. On the dragon stairs, the clouds drifted for thousands of miles. The murderous intent of the impending battle made Yi and Bahailong Eagle's emotions fluctuate. Last night, when they heard that Su Yi had already killed his way to the Long family, the two of them still had not recovered from the shock. Behind them, Ing Wuxiu had already released the blue orchid lotus. Ing Wuxiu looked worried as he stared at Yi, who was still unrepentant. Master, now that things have come to this, do you still insist on protecting the Long family? Blue Orchid Lotus's crescent brows were heavy with worry. Bleak murderous intent filled the sky, and the air was filled with blood. In the distance, large dark clouds began to gather. It was a sign that a storm was coming. The faint blood in the air made Ing Wuxiu's soul tremble. He raised his eyebrows and looked at Yi, who was standing upright, with hope in his eyes. Now is still the time to turn back, Ing Wuxiu said in a low voice. Beside him, Bahailong Eagle and Bahai Santong narrowed their eyes. Now was the time to panic, and every word was as sensitive as needles. Chance? What chance? Could it be that Sky Sea City still wanted to rely on Su Yi? Don't forget, you were the ones who plotted to kill Su Yi. Bahai Santong sneered, his eyes full of disdain. Sky Dragon sect's strength had never been weaker than the aristocratic families. Among the 5 aristocratic families, the Bahai family hated people like Tianlan City the most. Hearing this, Blue Orchid Lotus and Ing Wuxiu retorted and glared at the Bahai father and son. Blue Orchid Lotus scolded, Indeed, we are not like the Bahai family, who are accomplices to the evildoers and don't even know that death is near. Enough! Yi furrowed her brows and instantly released her yuan qi, interrupting everyone's words. Yi turned her head and looked at Blue Orchid Lotus and Ing Wuxiu. Her eyes had lost their usual fierceness and arrogance. She said softly, Don't do anything later, Master. Yeah. Blue Orchid Lotus and Ing Wuxiu looked at each other, their eyes flashing anxiously. Yi's voice was transmitted into their ears through a secret technique. Now that things have come to this, there is no point in saying more. I will take responsibility for some things. Brother Xiao, Orchid Lotus, you're old friends with Su Yi, so you will be fine. I only hope that he will forgive the people of Sea City. After saying this, Yi turned around. Ing Wuxiu's nose was red as he lowered his head and did not say a word. Master, Blue Orchid Lotus pursed her lips tightly. A trace of despair and loneliness flashed across her bright eyes. His master would never admit defeat, nor would he apologize. This time, Yi had tacitly agreed that the situation was hopeless. Even the Thunder Fire Temple, which had always been at odds with Yi, had chosen to back down. Yi wasn't doing this out of consideration for Sky Sea City. In the end, she was trying to find a way out for Ing Wuxiu and Lan Balian. She hoped that Su Yi would forgive Lan Balian and Ing Wuxiu because of this. The lonely Blue Orchid Lotus silently retreated. She looked around and saw the Baha'i father and son setting up a defensive circle. Everyone, surround the battleship. Don't let go of any corner or entrance. If they come, kill them immediately. Baha'i Long Eagle's eyes were sharp and cold. He looked at the sects and forces that were gathering from all directions. He was incomparably arrogant. This time, almost all the forces had sent their most elite forces to defend the Sky Palace. The powerful energy streams of countless powerhouses whistled, stirring up countless air currents in the surrounding space, spinning out like small tornadoes. The terrifying Long family army was shockingly large. There were no less than 20 to 30 million people. Chapter 2451. If you're not as good as a martial arts student, at least there's still hope. Yang Jian's deskmate said excitedly. That's right. If you get into a famous liberal arts school, your salary and benefits won't be low after you graduate. I still want to try. Yang Jian was hesitant. His family background was not bad, and his body was strong. He would not be satisfied if he did not try. Chun Fan and Yang Jian did not stop him. Although the chances were slim, the opportunity was right in front of them. There would always be people who would not be satisfied. Although everyone was still young, they understood that if they dissuaded Yang Jian now, and he missed the opportunity, they would have a huge grudge. The three of them were talking enthusiastically, but Fang Ping's face was full of confusion. What was going on? Fang Ping gulped and looked at the three of them for a while. He did not see any signs of joking. At this moment, Fang Ping finally realized that something was wrong. He was about to ask when someone else beat him to it again. At the desk next to Fang Ping's, two boys were whispering. They probably felt that the discussion was not interesting because there were too few people around. When Fang Ping's side quieted down, a boy with a crew cut asked excitedly, Yang Jian, Chun Fan, did you see the news online last night? Yang Jian and Yang Jian shook their heads. The Gaokao was around the corner. Their families were very strict now, so they did not have time to go online. 7474192, seeing that the two of them did not know, Fang Ping and the other boy were also confused. The boy with the crew cut laughed. What a pity. Big news broke last night. Did you know? Grandmaster Ma has broken through rank 8. Grandmaster Ma is not even 40 years old this year, but he's already the #1 martial arts powerhouse of the younger generation. Yesterday, Penguin Group officially issued a challenge to Google Asia Pacific CEO, the veteran rank 8 powerhouse Tam. What? Is it true? Grandmaster Ma has broken through rank 8? Didn't he just break through rank 7 a few years ago? I can't believe it. Zhang Hao, tell us quickly. Is it a public challenge or a private one? A rank 8 battle. I really want to watch it. Too bad we're not qualified to watch it. There were not many who were qualified, so although the news broke last night had already caused a stir, not many people in the class knew about it. The boy with the crew cut, Zhang Hao, had spoken loudly just now. Global Martial Arts latest chapter 1747419-2. Global Martial Arts newest chapter 7474192. Before Fang Ping and the others could reply, The students nearby who had overheard him were all excited, while Zhang Hao also enjoyed the joy of being the center of attention at this time. He said with a look of joy, "It's true. Grandmaster Ma has really broken through. Not just us. Who in the world would dare to believe that he could break through to rank 8 so quickly?" Therefore, when the letter of challenge came out, the whole world was shocked. As long as Grandmaster Ma defeated Tam this time, Penguin Corporation would be able to enter Asia and become one of the most powerful corporations in Asia. In a few more years, once Grandmaster Ma breaks through to level 9, Penguin Group will become one of the world's overlords. Gosh, this is too fast. 8th level of the Supreme Power Realm. Has the Grandmaster list been updated? Grandmaster Ma is trying to get into the top 30. 1 second, remember to provide you with wonderful novels to read. Go, go, go. Top 30? If it were up to me, top 20 wouldn't be a problem. I don't think so. After all, Grandmaster Ma has just made a breakthrough. How can he rise to the top 20 so quickly? Unless he defeats Tam, he still has a chance. At this time, the students had already started discussing among themselves. Everyone's eyes were filled with excitement, admiration, excitement, and desire. Even the girls were no exception at this time. In the whole class, the only exception was Fong Ping. At this time, Fong Ping's brain was in a mess. His face was blank, and he was completely dumbfounded. 7474192, what was going on? He understood what everyone was saying, and he was sure that he could read every word that was written. However, why was it that when strung together, he could not understand at all? Who was Grandmaster Ma? Of course, he knew about Penguin Corporation. In 2008, Penguin Corporation was already the dominant company in the eye. He also knew about Google. It would be strange if he did not know. Did Zhang Hao mean that Penguin and Google were competing in business? However, why did it sound so out of place? Fong Ping's throat moved again. He felt that his lips were extremely dry. This script did not seem right. Global Martial Arts latest chapters list 17474-192. Global Martial Arts latest chapters list 747 for 192. Chapter 2453. I said you won't die. Xiaohong Lu's lips curled up slightly, looking indescribably handsome. On the other side, Xikong Cangxing, Qiu Nongfeng, and Mo Inu also rushed over from the Taiqing continent. The three of them stood together, and the Taiqing sect's powerhouses behind them were full of anger. Their whole body's vitality light floated in the air, shocking everyone. Su Yi, Xinjiang Gate, Wuji sect, and Taixing sect will also rush over after dealing with the small fries in their sects. When almost everyone had arrived, another heavy voice came from the sky. It was none other than the super powerhouses of the Myriad Sword Alliance. Long Kuei, Long Ye, Dugahen, and Dugu Yi were among them. The voice just now was made by Dugu Yi. Dugu Ye's eyes focused, and he said loudly to Merciless West, "Brother Wu Qing, Dugu Yi is here to fulfill the appointment. Today, you can't kill more people from the Long clan than I do." His voice was loud, and his heroic spirit instantly infected the martial artists present. Long Kuei and Dugahen were a little reserved. They looked at Su Yi with flickering eyes and showed an embarrassed look at the same time. Seeing Su Yi walk out safely from the depths of the earth's core, Long Yi smiled like a flower, and there was a trace of comfort on her rosy face. When Duanmu Xiaoman's cold eyes met with Long Ye's in the air, the latter unconsciously restrained her expression and could only nod to Su Yi, seeing Long Kuei and Dugu Hen coming. Although Su Yi looked indifferent, there was a trace of certainty in his heart. One was Long Ye's grandfather, and the other was Situ Muyang's grandfather. They could make the right decision to help him in the face of danger, which had already made up for their previous mistakes. Long Kuei was not a wicked person, and Dugahen understood the value of human kindness. If Situ Muyang was here, he would definitely untie the knot between him and his grandfather. Suddenly, Su Yi's eyes moved and his heart warmed. He nodded to the reinforcements and shouted loudly, "I, Su Yi, will remember today's kindness in my heart. Today, let's open up a new heavenly savage realm." King of Heaven's pride, is invincible. Number 1 in Sky Berserker Realm. The entire arena was filled with blazing flames, and violent energy exploded into the sky. Countless pairs of eyes intertwined with each other. The seething fighting spirit was enough to topple the world. Sure, that's great. Now everyone is here, Long Pa San said angrily. This is the will of the people. Today, the Long family shall be destroyed. In merciless West, Chief Fei Hong sighed loudly, hot tears rolling down his face. What kind of high-spirited and imposing manner was this? The sects that had gathered from all directions were united against a common enemy. The flames in their hearts were like an erupting volcano, causing one's heart to surge with emotions. In an instant, the fiery gazes of the audience flickered, and the disadvantageous situation was suddenly reversed. At this moment, the Long family's reinforcements looked at each other with ugly expressions on their faces. The gap between the two sides had shrunk even further. It was hard to say who would win or lose. Moreover, the Myriad Sword Alliance had turned against them at this time. Tianlan City and Bahai Long Eagle immediately understood that Su Yi's ability to come out of the Earth's core must have something to do with Long Kuei. The pain of losing his son was like a sharp spine piercing his heart. Bahai Long Eagle suddenly stood up, his face flushed red, and roared violently. Long Kuei, Duguhen, you two traitors. The dragon god will not forgive you if he knows. Hearing this, Long Kuei and Duguhen instantly snorted coldly. Staring at the resentful, tyrannical sea eagle, Long Kuei said, "This old man has done his best for the Long family. How this old man wants to save the Long family is not up to an outsider like you to make irresponsible remarks." Duguhen also twitched the corner of his mouth. His monstrous killing intent outlined the outline of an icy cold smile as he said, "The dragon god has long gone astray. The Myriad Sword Alliance has suddenly awakened and abandoned the darkness for the light. Do you want everyone to be buried together with him?" As soon as his voice fell, Duguhen's gaze swept across the entire arena. Most of the warriors who supported the Long family had a change of expression, and some of them were somewhat embarrassed. These warriors had no choice. Their strength was not strong, and they had to rely on whoever was stronger. Now, even the Long family's Grand Elder and the Myriad Sword Alliance had betrayed the Long family. Did they really have to risk their lives? Hesitation and embarrassment appeared on everyone's faces. Bullshit! You traitors of the Dragon God are shameless. Today, all of you will be buried together with my Santong. Suddenly, Bahai Long Eagle took a step forward, and the surrounding blazing space suddenly surged with stormy waves. Huge spatial waves surged for over 100 meters. As the waves rippled, the huge wooded tribute dragon opened its bloody maw, and faint golden dragon patterns spread out from it. Heaven's might was vast and mighty, and a soft dragon roar spread across the sky. This would attribute killer move had obviously used the energy of an 8th level Yuan domain stage cultivation. The violent fury swept across the sky, and it was very shocking. In a flash, the eyes of countless warriors behind him lit up, and they stood behind Bahai Long Eagle with the Sky Dragon Sect's supreme elders. Profound runes densely covered their bodies, and a torrential force whistled and circulated. In the surrounding space, merciless West, including Chi Fei Hong, and the others stared dumbfoundedly at the distant sky. Their eyes were completely shocked by Bahai Long Eagle's strength. Not only Su Yi sighed, but even the Long family's reinforcements gasped. No wonder he's so supportive of Draconis. It turns out that he's benefited from Draconis. Dugu Xie narrowed his eyes. Under the Long family's wings, Bahai Long Eagle's improvement in these years was amazing. Boom! At the same time, Long Kuei's figure flashed and blocked in front of Bahai Long Eagle. His entire body was filled with a golden dragon shadow, and a fierce light like a mountain instantly covered the entire arena. Long Kuei's eyes shot out a ray of light, and his fierce and heavy voice spread across the arena as he roared, since you have the golden dragon bloodline, this old man will clean up the Long family's house. The Long family doesn't need a dog like you. Huh. After saying that, Long Yu's eyes darkened. She also activated her 6th-stage opening Yuan Zong stage, and a majestic golden dragon energy spread out from the center of her body. The energy ripples swept across the surrounding space, and the void instantly became distorted and blurry. Rumble. In less than 3 seconds, the sound of a collision resounded across the sky, and a murderous aura surged out from the surrounding space. A golden storm surged, and within the vast void of the Long family's residence, a terrifying sonic boom resounded across the heavens and earth. Merciless West's eyes lit up, and his battle intent instantly condensed. His voice was mixed with vitality, and it spread across the entire arena. Even a myriad sword alliance is fighting. We can't fall behind. At his command, the generals roared, and their blood boiled. The surging energy storm of Long Kuei and Dugu Xie was like a spark that ignited everyone's battle intent. Charge! Kill all these bastards. Bahai Long Eagle, just you wait. Little bastards, I'll teach you a lesson. Chilala! Suddenly, the experts from the Imperial Palace, Chaos Territory, Demon Subduing Sect, Tai Ching Sect, and the Sacred Mountain looked at the surrounding space, and their bodies were covered in a bloody aura that swept across the sky as they joined the battle. Chapter 2454. Thousands of miles away, the battle shook the heavens. Tens of millions of figures shuttled between heaven and earth, and the continuous sonic booms quickly destroyed the dragon stairs. The Yao beasts did not dare to show any weakness. They twisted their huge bodies and smashed toward the Long family, their roars echoing through the mountains and plains. With the addition of the Overlord Legion and the Sky Demon Army, the Long family was immediately smashed into pieces, and the broken world was filled with the smell of blood. The mountains and rivers were destroyed, and the clouds were turbulent. Large patches of dark clouds were destroyed, and all kinds of thunderstorms gathered. The entire space suddenly changed color, and the world shook. The battle was noisy, and the wind and clouds surged. Shouts and screams filled the air, and the sound of fighting and essence chi explosions were incessant. Compared to the battle between the Divine Tiger Sect and the Immeasurable Sect and the Heavenly Palace, the battle between the Long family and the Heavenly Palace was destined to go down in history. Looking from afar, tens of millions of people were fighting at the same time, and the Heavenly Palace instantly became a bloody battlefield. Kill! Behind Su Yi, Shengwan Tianshun, Su Jingyuan, and the people from the Tian Yao school shot forward, and the light was like blood rushing into the sky. Let's go in first. Leave this place to them. At this moment, Yin Zhongli had already reached Su Yi's side. The Myriad Sword Alliance, Long Kuei, and Xiahong House were near the dragon stairs, so there was no need to worry. Hearing Yin Zhongli's words, Su Yi, Duanmu Xiaoman, and Duanmu, Qing Tian nodded. At this moment, the battle had only started for a quarter of an hour, and the Long family had already turned into an endless hell. The smell of blood swept through the sky, and countless martial artists were directly shattered, bursting into a bloody mist that poured into the sky. Terrifying light filled the surroundings, and 4 figures, the strongest 4 of them, turned into rays of light and rushed to the sky above the dragon's stairs like phantoms. Rumble! Lightning flashed between the mountains and rivers, and twisted flames kept erupting. Numerous figures were sent flying, and terrifying waves were set off. Bang! 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 Soon, Su Yi and the others were like arrows, and their footsteps were light as they directly arrived near the dragon stairs. Lightning flashed, and the figures below were shattered. Su Yi passed through the battle circle of Sky Sea City, and Yi was in the midst of a fierce battle. Swish, swish. Azure waves shot out from between Yi's palms. The enormous waves carried a violent aura that blotted out the sky and covered the sun. In the blink of an eye, The dozens of long family powerhouses in front of her had been blasted into powder by Yi and scattered in the air. Su Yi's gaze slowly darkened as he watched Yi turn against him once again and fight alongside the Overlord Legion. His cold voice was like ice falling from the sky, causing Yi to freeze on the spot. Yi, your life is after the Long families. No matter how you try to fix it, you won't be able to get rid of that ugly face of yours. Hearing that, she instantly stopped the outputting of Yuan Qi. The light in Yi's eyes changed. When he looked up again, Su, Yi, and the others had already crossed the sky and flew up. Yi would never forget that bone-chilling voice. No one had ever dared to talk to her like that. However, the supreme heavenly monarch Yi of the aristocratic family was like a weakling who was endlessly embarrassed. Beside her, the incessantly shooting rays of light exploded, but the boundless killing intent still couldn't pull back Yi, whose heart had gone cold. Yi was in a daze. Master! Lan Xiaoyan pursed her cherry lips tightly and looked at the heavenly monarch with a slight smile. At this time, he discovered that Su Yi had already rushed up the dragon stairs. Tyrannical sea eagle's violent aura surged, blocking everyone's attacks. His figure was like an arrow of light, wanting to intercept him. Su Yi, you bastard, get down here! Tyrannical sea eagle roared. Boundless wood energy gathered out of thin air, and the entire space immediately began to shake. The person you want to deal with is me. Long Kuei roared furiously, and the image of a golden dragon soared into the sky. Stop him. Don't let anyone from the Sky Dragon sect go. Duga Hin glanced at the four people above and also did his best to cover the retreat for Su, Yi, and the others. Tyrannical Sea Eagle's wooden dragon had just covered the space when it was directly interrupted by several people. Hearing the intensity of the battle, Yi finally came back to her senses. Waves of light and shadows of long swords rushed out again. In an instant, Yi, Long Kuei, and Duga Hin surrounded the Sky Dragon sect powerhouses. This time, I won't be wrong again. Yi shouted angrily. She stared at Tyrannical Sea Eagle, and the energy in her body raged. Bitch, you're finally smart for a moment. Yin Mietian, who was fighting fiercely in the distance, changed his hand seals and shouted in Yi's direction. In the next second, Yi, Long Kuei, and Duga Hin attacked at the same time. A terrifying aura filled the sky, and a huge amount of heaven and earth energy fell from the sky, quickly engulfing everyone from the Sky Dragon sect, including Tyrannical Sea Eagle. In the vast space, there were crazy explosions, and there was no corner that was peaceful. Cracks spread rapidly around the dragon stairs like a spider web. The invisible stairway was mixed with a huge energy impact, and it was directly smashed into pieces. The golden light scattered like fireworks. The moment the stairway shattered, the four people finally boarded the Sky Palace battleship. An ancient golden dragon aura poured over their heads, and the four people's eyes darkened at the same time. The faint golden threads floating in the air contained an extremely strong spatial energy, and the calm space seemed as if nothing had happened. It was the end of the world below, but the battleship was still as usual, like the surface of an ancient well. Looking at the battleship in front of him that was covered by golden clouds, Yin Zhongli said in a low voice, I just searched the souls of a few people. The deck of the battleship is guarded by Long Tsang, the elders of the Sky Palace, and Long Tsang's personal guards. They should be in the golden clouds now. Hearing this, Su raised his chin slightly, and his cold eyes were like an endless abyss. Long Tsang, I haven't heard this name for a long time. Suddenly, Su smiled and said, Let's end this quickly, and don't let Draconis succeed in his seclusion. After that, the four of them turned around and charged into the golden clouds at lightning speed. Roar! The moment their bodies touched the golden clouds, the heaven and earth seemed to have sounded an alarm, and a majestic dragon aura rushed from the deck to the sky. Golden light rose into the sky, and the dragon's roar bloomed in the depths of the sky. In an instant, the golden clouds dispersed, and the battleship's full appearance was revealed. What came into view was groups of Long Song's personal guards, who were standing in front of the four people in an orderly manner. Their faces were solemn, and their killing intent was clear. The army of 100,000 people was led by the elders of the Sky Palace, and they quickly stood in a specific direction. Suddenly, the huge golden dragon shadow behind them occupied the sky, and the array under their feet was majestic. The soul-shaking roar shocked the four people at the same time. Endless golden light, and the shadow looked disdainfully. Those who resist the dragon god will be killed without mercy. An elder's eyes were gloomy, and the dazzling golden light spread like the sun. Instantly, the four people's mouths twitched at the same time. The strength of the Long family was indeed not to be underestimated. Long Song's personal guards were formed by the people with the strongest bloodline in the Long family. Compared to the Sky Battalion, the difference was like the difference between the core disciples and the inner disciples. At this moment, the battleship was surrounded by the aura of the Golden Dragon. Just by standing there, they could feel an inexplicable pressure crushing down on them. Chapter 2455. Yin Zhongli's eyes trembled as he said to Su Yi, "This is the Long family's strongest battle technique, the dragon-binding god-killing formation. It's not ordinary at all." Duanmu Qingtian nodded. His eyes were extremely cold as he said, "Back then, the wild owl and this formation made me suffer a lot." Su Yi glanced sideways. This formation seemed to be extraordinary if it could hold back the origin sky realm Duanmu Qingtian. As his gaze fell on the dragon-binding god-killing formation, part of Su Yi's memories instantly surfaced in his mind. His confidence that was as vast as the sea flashed before his eyes. "Later, the four of us will split up and find the eye of the formation to break it." Duanmu Xiaoman didn't seem to notice Su Yi at all. Her snowy eyes were filled with coldness as a terrifying aura quietly spread out. "Okay," Yin Zhongli replied. "Okay, sister, be careful." "Su Yi?" Duanmu Qingtian asked. After not hearing Su Yi's voice for a long time, the three of them looked sideways and saw that Su Yi's body was enveloped in golden light. The lifelike golden light dragon patterns covered his limbs as if they were inlaid. His aura was extremely domineering, as if he was possessed by the god of death. "Su, you might know something," Duanmu Xiaoman said in surprise. Seeing Su use the golden dragon aura, the three of them trembled at the same time and did not dare to disturb him. Su Yi, who was silent, stood still in front of the army. The golden dragon aura became more and more terrifying, and the golden storm also started to circulate. Ha ha ha! At this moment, the Long family's elders' faces turned green as a cold and disdainful smile appeared behind them. A golden figure appeared in the sky above the army. The newcomer walked in the air with disdain and contempt in his long and evil eyes. It was the Long family's #1 youth, Long Song. "Su Yi, you don't dare to move after seeing this formation?" Looking down from the sky, Long Song, who was at the 5th level of Origin Ancestor Realm, stared coldly at Su Yi. Su Yi did not reply. Long Song faintly smiled. Looking at the golden dragon aura on Su Yi's body, he immediately said, "As expected of my Long family's vile spawn, don't blame the Long family for being ruthless since you've come to die today." Long Song became even more arrogant when he saw that Su Yi was silent as though he was in a daze. His dark eyes wandered between the Duanmu Xiaoman and the Duanmu Qingtian. "Brat, I advise you not to spout nonsense. The tyrant sees 3 links below is an example." Yin Zhongli let out a cold snort, and a burst of energy burst out from his body. The half-step Yuan Tian stage light beam hit the dragon, binding god-killing formation, instantly creating a series of sonic booms. The ferocious wind swirled in the sky, but only a sonic boom could be heard. The huge commotion quickly dissipated into nothingness. Under Yin Zhongli's attack, the array only shook slightly. Continue. Old man Yun, you have always been against my Long family. This time, you can finally attack the Long family. Are you happy? Long Song seemed to have realized that Yun Zhongli could not shake the array. Brat, while you can still speak, call your father out, Yun Zhongli said impatiently. Long Song's contempt instantly made Yun Zhongli's killing intent shootout. Hearing this, Long Song sneered and ignored Yun Zhongli. Long Song raised his head and laughed. He stared at the Duanmu Qingtian and the Duanmu Xiaoman and said, Goddess Hutian and Mighty Crane, I didn't expect that my Long family would provoke 3 half-step Yuan Tian stage cultivators today. Brat, I'll say it again. Call your parents out. The Duanmu Qingtian waved his hand. He was too lazy to listen to Long Song. How dare a stray dog bark? How dare you challenge the Long family? Long Song's eyes were filled with arrogance. He looked at the person who had long been a legend in the Long family with a disdainful face. Hearing Long Song's words, the Duanmu Qingtian also condensed his killing intent. Yuan Shi covered his fists and palms. Mother Faster's Cur, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your father. The Duanmu Qingtian shouted. Bang! Without any delay, the Duanmu Xiaoman took the first step. The killing intent in her heart surged. She waved her hand, and the blue ice lawn around her suddenly rushed towards the dragon-killing array. The crazy energy exploded out of thin air, and a majestic blue frost poured out from the ice lawn's huge mouth, turning into a blue storm that blotted the sky and directly expanded and spread out. So fast, Yin Zhongli and the Duanmu Qingtian were shocked. At the same time, all the elders of the Long family who were controlling the array did not dare to be careless. Hundreds of Yuan domain realm elders of the Long family stood in front of them and faced the boundless ice storm head-on. The golden dragon roared, and the Luan's cry shook the sky. The sky instantly trembled, and the blue light beam collided with the golden dragon shadow barrier. Countless ice crystals poured down from the sky, and the golden barrier instantly spread into a long spider web. The shockwave spread across the sky, and the Duanmu Xiaoman was instantly pushed back. Yin Zhongli and the Duanmu Qingtian's faces changed at the same time. Sister, Palace Master Duanmu. After the sonic boom, the golden array quickly returned to its original state. Immediately, Yin Zhongli said in a low voice, the array that these elders are guarding is obviously strengthened, and it should be connected to the entire battleship. Even if we are half-step Yuan Tian realm cultivators, our individual strength is still not comparable to the power of heaven and earth. Duanmu Qingtian supported Duanmu Xiaoman and looked at the hundreds of calm elders. Duanmu Xiaoman's reddish face flashed with a hint of seriousness. Ha! The Long family is not something that you can challenge at will. Today, I will show you who is the strongest. Long Song was even more unscrupulous. He stared at Duanmu Xiaoman and the others with a sneer. This kid is really courting death. Damn it, if it wasn't for the fact that my cultivation had regressed, I would have crushed this kid to death with my thumb. Duanmu Qingtian shouted in a low voice. Immediately, the 3 of them looked at Su Yi, hoping that Su Yi would be able to quickly gain an epiphany. The golden dragon aura around Su Yi's body was getting more and more terrifying, and there was confusion in the depths of his eyes. Let's protect them, 3 half-step Yuan Tian realm cultivators. There is no need to be afraid of him. Duanmu Qingtian shouted. Let's go. Duanmu Xiaoman nodded her head, and a stream of water, elemental energy, was shot out again. Boom! At the same time, Long Song's figure slowly moved away from the formation. He laughed loudly and said, Su Yi, I will be waiting for you in the heavenly palace. I hope you can crawl over here. Kid, stop right there. Duanmu Qingtian rushed out first, and the aura of the 3 of them instantly covered the whole area. The 3 half-step Yuan Tian realm cultivators raised their arms at the same time, and an unimaginable amount of energy collided with the formation again. Roar! Suddenly, the dragon-killing formation also expanded, and the golden dragon opened its huge dragon claws and rushed towards the 3 of them. In an instant, in the white clouds, the sword waves swept across the area, and Duanmu Xiaoman once again used her Ice Phoenix true form. The three figures collided with the golden dragon, and in the earth-shattering sound of the explosion, an extremely sharp fire wave appeared in the air. In the air, Duanmu Xiaoman looked back and saw that it was Su Yi, who had just recovered from his epiphany. Her face was filled with surprise and joy. Seeing that the golden dragon was about to collide with Duanmu Xiaoman and the others, Su Yi shouted. Chapter 2456. Get out of the way. Stand at the position of wind, earth, water, mountain, water, and thunder respectively. As soon as he finished speaking, Duanmu Xiaoman, Duanmu Qingtian, and Yin Zhongli withdrew their forces at the same time. Without any delay, they turned into light shadows and landed at their designated positions. In the blink of an eye, Su Yi, who was surrounded by divine light, had already summoned the blood demon killing god sword. The aura of the golden dragon permeated heaven and earth, and the dazzling golden dragon claw behind him danced. An overwhelming divine aura filled the air. The dragon ancestor medicine scripture. This guy has the most precious treasure of the dragon tribe. This guy has comprehended the array core of the dragon binding god-killing array from scripture. Oh no! Everyone get out of the way. Protect the array core. The elders who were guarding the array core trembled. They had sensed the dragon ancestor medicine scripture's aura from Su Yi's golden dragon. Instantly, everyone gasped at the same time. Su Yi, who was in the air, looked cold. The sharp sword qi transformed into an unparalleled aura. Murderous intent shot out from his pitch-black eyes. Long Tsong, did I say you could leave? Long Tsong, who was about to go to the heavenly palace, turned around when he heard the voice. The corner of his mouth twitched as if he had seen a ghost. Boom! Long Tsong's pupils contracted. In his pitch-black eyes, the sword qi in Su Yi's hand surged. It was as if a ferocious god had descended to the mortal world. Then, the sword qi surged. Su Yi, who was in the heavenly fire-dorn position, stared coldly at Long Tsong, who was behind the 100,000 people. With a slight smile, a majestic aura burst out from his body. Red light filled the sky as he slashed at the array core of the heavenly fire-dorn position. Chilala, the blood devil's killing god sword bust. A huge red wave suddenly hit the array core. Behind the golden barrier, dozens of people were sent flying. Bang! Bang! As soon as the heavenly fire-dorn position was broken, a large area of the dragon-binding god-killing formation was shattered as well. Dragon scale-like patterns flashed out continuously. Huh! At the same time, Duanmu Xiaoman, Yin Zhongli, and Duanmu Qingtian's pitch-black eyes were brimming with killing intent. Their auras surged out, and the three array cores emitted dazzling light. Rumble! Golden lightning shot forth from the binding dragon divine, killing formation, and energy surged in the void above. The aura of the golden dragon dispersed like lightning, transforming into a storm that swept through heaven and earth, shattering the space around it inch by inch. Above the void, the four of them gathered together again, their robes fluttering in the wind. At the same time, they gloomily looked at the broken, god-killing formation below them. In just a few seconds, under Su Yi's instructions, the three supreme beings who were half a step away from Yuan Tian quickly broke the dragon, binding, god-killing formation. It's broken. Duanmu Qingtian's eyes were cold. He pointed below and said, but the Long family still has a trump card. On the strange warship, the aura of the golden dragon gathered again. After the deity slaying array was broken, hundreds of elders and experts spat out blood, and a small portion of the personal guard's auras were in turmoil. However, all of this seemed to be within their expectations. After the deity's slaying array was broken, everyone exerted their full strength. The aura of the golden dragon surged out of their bodies. Everyone formed hand seals, and a steady stream of energy surged out, forming another protective formation. It's a formation made purely by the aura of the golden dragon. It's mainly defensive, but it's time-consuming and energy-consuming. Yin Zhongli frowned thoughtfully. Over the years, the Yin family and the Long family had been at loggerheads, and the Yun family had done their best to gather intelligence on the Long family. Duanmu Xiaoman nodded immediately. Duanmu Qingtian looked at Su Yi, only to see Su Yi staring into the distance disapprovingly. Long Tsong stood at the highest point of the warship, and his body slowly began to fade. He was extremely shocked when he saw Su Yi break the formation. When the personal guards gathered again, Long Tsong's gloomy voice sounded. Su Yi, you will never be able to stop the Long family's path to godhood. Go to hell. Roar. A sharp dragon's roar resounded through the sky. Then, Long Tsong disappeared into the sky, and golden ripples spread out in all directions. This kid runs really fast. If it weren't for someone protecting him, I would have killed him 10,000 times. Duanmu Qingtian gnashed his teeth in hatred. Su Yi remained silent. His calmness at this critical moment made him more focused. Only extreme speed and calmness could stop Draconis. Su Yi, today we will stop you from entering the heavenly palace, even if we are all wiped out. Duanmu Xiaoman, Duanmu Qingtian, today the Long family will ask for advice from you. Su Yi, you bastard, return the dragon ancestors' medicine manual to us. Inside the formation, the Long family's elders and personal guards roared in the sky. They were ready to die. Seeing Su Yi use their family's secret technique to break their formation, the Long family's hatred for Su Yi reached its peak. However, no matter how loud they shouted, Su Yi's revenge could not be disrupted. This formation is not difficult, but the Golden Dragon clan is famous for their amazing defense. I'm afraid it will take some time. Su Yi looked at Duanmu Qingtian, Duanmu Xiaoman, and Yin Zhongli. As soon as he finished speaking, the three half-step Yuan Tian stage supreme beings released a huge amount of energy from their foreheads. The four of them started to fight against the Long family's 10,000-year-old foundation, breaking all formations with one force. What was there to be afraid of? Go! The surging energy was like a tidal wave, and the terrifying origin chi was like a floodgate opening. The four of them worked together to gather all the energy together and shoot it towards the array. Boom! The moment the Yuan Qi surged, a vast soul aura rushed out from the formation. In the next second, the sky and the earth exploded. The huge space crack once again spread out, and monstrous purple chi spread out from the crack. Then, the enchanting and crisp meow of a cat shook the sky. The sound waves were like the sound of a beast. Su Yi's heart skipped a beat, and he looked up at the sky. In the sky above, the space seemed to be on the verge of collapsing. Numerous bewitching amber-colored eyes were revealed between the cracks. After which, over 100 devastatingly beautiful figures walked out from the space. Their figures were graceful, and their voices were moving. When the light shone on the hundreds of people, all the Long family members who were shouting were attracted to them. Whoosh! The crack then closed, and the faces of over 100 people entered everyone's eyes. What was strange was that these over 100 people were all delicate women. They had different styles, and each had their own merits. Su Yi, do you still remember us? I didn't expect there to be so many dragon cubs here. Big sister isn't here. Why didn't you call us when there's a big battle like this? Second sister, you're so naughty. Let me see. Stop. Sister Qinxue, please control second sister. It turned out that the people who came to help were none other than the 9 spiritual Lynx clan. Ling Miaoyin, Ling Shuangyin, Ling Muyin, and the rest who he met in the demonic forest were all here. Suddenly, a fierce demonic aura storm swept across the battleship, and the sky changed color. The aura of the Beast clan was breathtaking. Chapter 2457. It's you guys! Su Yi exclaimed in delight when he saw his old friends. At that moment, Ling Miaoyin and the rest had just returned to their true forms. Although their aura remained, Their movements were slightly sluggish, which added to their charm. Su-yi, I'm finally here. Standing among the crowd, Ling Qinshue's eyes were as clear as water as she stared at Su-yi. She was filled with battle intent. In the air, Yin Zhongli and Duanmu Qingtian's eyes were wide open. Not only were the immortal-like cat demon powerhouses shocked, but they were also shocked by the powerful ancient aura. Although there were only 100 of them, they were powerful enough. The Nine Spirit Lynx clan is good at creating illusions. They're perfect to deal with this bucket-sized golden dragon formation. Duanmu Xiaoman had heard of Ling Qinshue's name before. She was overjoyed when she saw her. She bowed slightly at Ling Qinsue. Swoosh! Ling Qinsue flew to Duanmu Xiaoman and smirked. Sister, I brought the current combat strength of the demon aura forest. Draconis must die today. Suddenly, Su-yi's heart warmed as he nodded. He then looked at the dragon tribe powerhouses below. They looked grim, but they dared not do anything. You're scared, but you can't do anything to me. I didn't expect the dragon tribe to be scared. Everyone, listen up. Tear the entrance open with all you've got. Xiaoman, master, and I will charge into the heavenly palace. Su-yi shouted. The 100 people responded at the same time. Naturally, Yin Zhongli and Ling Qinsue covered the back for the three of them. The dragon tribe people were shocked as soon as they heard that. They activated all of their golden dragon aura and shouted. Although they were prepared to die, the Nine Spirit Lynx's arrival ruined the dragon tribe elders' plan. Do you think we're pushovers? Activate the golden dragon formation. Everyone, listen up. We must help the dragon god break through today. Protect him with all you've got. Protect the dragon god. Sonic booms filled the air. The dragon tribe elders on the battleship went berserk. Terrifying golden energy filled the huge space like a flash flood. Kill. Without any delay, Su-yi's gaze also darkened as the blood demon killing god sword danced in the air. The whistling sword insight gave rise to enormous waves while spatial rifts spread out swiftly. Everywhere it passed, everything was transformed into pieces. Attack! Behind him, Duanmu Xiaoman, Duanmu Qingtian, and Yin Zhongli also spread out instantly. They waved their hands, and huge soul-light pillars collided with the golden dragon array like meteors. Buzz! The beastly sounds were faint, and the bewitching cries were carried by the wind. They quickly traveled through the cracks in space and fell straight into the hearts of the golden dragon army. When the 4 violent shockwaves crashed into the golden dragon formation, the eyes of all the soldiers trembled, and a heart-wrenching pain spread through their bodies. Under such a soul attack, a large number of personal guards spat out mouthfuls of blood. Their complexions were pale, and their blood-red hair was disheveled. They were in an incomparably sorry state. Boom! The personal guards jolted. Under the terrifying soul attack and the sword gleam, spatial rifts began to appear on the golden dragon formation. In the chaotic space, sword gleams shot out and souls filled the air. The golden light rifts that were spreading out rapidly looked like a spider web. Xiaoman Master, let's go. Seeing that the rifts had been exposed, Su-yi shouted immediately and said softly to the 2 white silhouettes behind him. Whoosh! The killing intent in his eyes overflowed to the heavens. Overwhelming yuan qi spread across the heaven and earth. Under the golden light, the blood demon killing godsword in Su-yi's hand drew a mysterious arc suddenly. His figure turned like lightning and entered the great formation. A sharp piercing sound was heard, and 2 extreme soul suppression passed over everyone's heads. All of the injured elders from the dragon tribe were shocked when they lifted their heads to look. They did not expect their golden dragon formation to be nothing with the help of the 9 spirit links. In reality, they did not expect the 4 of them to be the most powerful people in the Sky Barbarian tribe. If these ordinary elders from the dragon tribe could not use the heaven and earth strength of the battleship, how could the glowing worms compete with the moon? The crisp sound of a sword blade was heard, and Su-yi was already at the top of the golden clouds. The sword gleam sliced through the air with a majestic killing intent. The space beneath exploded wherever the sword blade passed by, and the scorching heaven and earth suppression went toward the 100,000 golden dragon army. Bang! The heavens and the earth rumbled. Under the vast pressure, Su-Yi glanced indifferently at the scene of desolation beneath him, and then he turned around like a god of death that had descended into the world, and he revealed a fierce and dignified aura that caused others to be unable to resist. Soon, the three of them disappeared. Faint spatial ripples rippled like the breeze before a storm. Ha ha ha! 9 spirit links. I'm honored to be able to fight with all of you today. Come visit my Cloud Immortal Ancient sect more often in the future. Among the scattered golden dragon army, Yin Zhongli was killing them as if he was cutting vegetables. It was like he was dancing in a mad battle. He was in high spirits. Sure. Grandpa with the white beard. You're so interesting. Thank you, Sect Leader Yun. Old man Bai, don't you dare do anything to us, okay? Up to 109 spirit lynxes turned into dazzling demonic glows as they shuttled through the golden dragon army. Although it was an intense battle, they seemed to be at ease as they joked around. Soon, the dragon tribe's battleship was covered in blood, and a crimson killing intent lingered in the air. Whoosh! The true form of the Brahma Dragon Heavenly Palace that was clearly in a different realm from the dragon body and the battleship finally appeared before everyone. The giant golden dragon's silhouette hovered before it like a living golden dragon that occupied heaven and earth. Its gigantic, ferocious eyes stared straight at heaven and earth. 2 ferocious glows swept across heaven and earth like a storm. The surrounding space was enveloped by a powerful and majestic aura at all times, making one's soul want to crawl. Looking at the majestic golden dragon before him, the golden dragon aura in Su-Yi's body was activated. His battle intent gathered, and terrifying golden glows kept gushing out. Draconis should be in there, Duanmu Xiaoman said softly. Duanmu Qingtian, who was standing aside, said nothing. His eyes were filled with extreme battle intent and killing intent. He hated the dragon tribe more than anyone else. Duanmu Qingtian had been on the run for decades, and the day he had been waiting for had finally arrived. Draconis, get out here. Duanmu Qingtian's eyes flickered. His deep voice turned into a sword wave that could destroy heaven and earth. Subsequently, an extreme golden glow shot out of his dragon eye. Dozens of dragon tribes' venerable supreme elders slowly floated out of the golden glow. Light surged in his other eye, and Long Tsong quickly descended from it. Su-Yi, I've underestimated you. I can't believe you managed to chase me all the way here. Long Tsong landed with a terrifying smile on his lips. Dozens of dragon tribes' venerable supreme elders and dragon tribes' venerable supreme elders stood in a row as soon as he spoke. Their wrinkled faces were solemn. To them, this was a most critical moment for the dragon tribe. Chapter 2458. Dozens of 9th stage Yuan Domain Realm and half-step Yuan Tian stage Golden Dragon experts gathered together and twisted the space around them. Golden light surged, and the figures instantly became stalwart as they stared at Duanmu Xiaoman and Duanmu Qingtian. The eyes of the elders were filled with hatred and resentment. The sky changed, and hundreds of golden dragons began to appear above their heads. Golden light shone brightly as wind and thunder rumbled. The Dragon Palace is closed off. I didn't expect it to be forced to this extent by these 3 brats. An old man said to Su-Yi and the others. He could barely open his eyes. Duanmu Qingtian and Duanmu Xiaoman's faces instantly turned serious. Duanmu Xiaoman said in a low voice, "Since these old fellows have all come out, it seems like Draconis is very confident in becoming a god this time." Su-Yi nodded as he looked at the sky. The grand elders of the Long family were not comparable to the elders of the other families. The Yuan Domain realm was the peak of the martial arts of the Heaven Barbarian realm. The Yuan Tian stage was something that was impossible to exist in the thin Yuan Qi environment of the Heaven Barbarian realm. The Duanmu siblings had broken through the shackles of their cultivation and stepped into the half-step Yuan Tian stage with the help of the art of driving the heavens. Draconis had the Golden Dragon bloodline, so he naturally had a certain chance. In terms of martial arts prodigies, the ancient Cloud Celestial sect had the deepest accumulation of heaven barbarians. Yunzhongli's half-step Yuan Tian stage did not rely on any power outside of the heaven barbarian realm. Apart from these freaks, the old men in front of them who had cultivated to become demons could not break through the half-step Yuan Tian stage due to their innate talent. However, they had remained in the Yuan domain realm for decades, or even centuries. If one were really talk about it, he could definitely be considered the strongest 9th-level origin domain stage expert. Moreover, there were so many other experts of the same type. This battle was much more difficult and troublesome than the battle between the dragon body and the battleship. I have to fight even if it's difficult, so he thought to himself. Then, he looked at Long Tsong and said softly, "How dare a trash of the Origin Ancestor stage claim to be number 1 among your peers? Today I'll show you what the true aura of a golden dragon is." As soon as his voice fell, a golden light surged between Su Yi's eyebrows, and the surrounding space suddenly sparkled like endless stars. Inside the vast and surging starlight formation, 3 golden dragon souls were flying around inside the heavenly origin demon soul, protecting all of his meridians and mind. The 9 drops of blood essence were blazing like the sun. In the next second, the 9 golden dragons around him whistled through the clouds, passing through the stars, and heading straight for the horizon. Rumble, above the vault of heaven, the hundreds of little golden dragons that had been eyeing them covetously just a moment ago instantly disappeared after being hit by these 9 golden dragons. In the blink of an eye, 9 golden dragons appeared in the sky, and the space around them seemed to have solidified. The aura of the roaring golden dragons made everyone draw a sharp intake of breath. This is... Long Tsong was instantly stunned. When he looked at Sui again, his heart was in turmoil. The Sui in front of him was covered in pure gold. His figure was tall and sturdy, and his green robes fluttered in the wind. Divine inscriptions surged between his eyes, making him look like a dragon god. With a wave of his hand, Su Yi's eyes turned cold as killing intent surged out. He said coldly, "Long family, today I'll use these 9 drops of golden dragon blood to kill all of you Long family bastards." As soon as he finished speaking, his aura soared. His already terrifying 6th stage Yuan domain aura rose by 2 stages. The boiling battle flames and body temperature instantly infected everyone present. All the Long family elders opened their eyes in shock. Boom! Perhaps sensing that something was wrong, the Long family elders quickly pulled Long Tsong and threw him back into the depths of the Sky Palace. "Young master, it's dangerous. Quickly inform the dragon god that the Long family is in trouble today." At this moment, the Long family supreme elders did not dare to be careless. They circulated their 9th stage Yuan domain strength, and the entire space shattered. Inside the shattered golden light patterns, the Long family's supreme elders' faces trembled. This young man was strong enough. Even though his 6th stage Yuan domain cultivation had risen by 2 stages, his aura was not much weaker than the 2 half-step Yuan sky experts beside him. Suddenly, Long Tsong, who was standing at the entrance of the Sky Palace, blushed as envy rushed to his head. He had finally verified that not only was Su Yi not a vile spawn of the Long family, but he was also the most outstanding bloodline successor. 9 drops of golden dragon blood essence was a supreme bloodline that was even more terrifying than an atavistic genius like Draconis. Long Tsong's heart was trampled on once again. His dignity, which had scabbed over with great difficulty, was repeatedly trampled on by Su Yi. At this moment, Long Tsong realized how stupid he was. Not only was he stupid, but even the golden dragon bloodline that he was proud of had become worthless. Standing high up, Long Tsong thought about how he had run all the way here from the battleship and hid behind the powerful Su Yi time and time again. In comparison, he was a piece of trash. Instantly, Long Song roared as the golden vortex beneath his feet spun. He shouted at the three people below, "Su-e, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you today." After saying that, Long Song raised his head and looked at the dragon where he had come out from. He smiled mysteriously and charged into the Sky Palace. After Long Kin left, the Long family's elders who were lined up in a row breathed a sigh of relief. The dragon family's elder who had spoken just now continued. "Young man, I don't know where your bloodline came from. Since you're a member of the Long family, why did you do such a thing?" On the opposite side, Su-e was surrounded by golden light. Bathed in divine light, his aura was monstrous. Beside him, the Duanmu siblings had already taken up their stances. The light from their half-step yuan sky cultivation dazzled the sky. Some people will never understand, even in death, that the dragon family's bloodline is not glorious because of you. In front of the sacred golden dragon bloodline, the so-called Long family is nothing but trash. Ants. As soon as he finished speaking, the golden dragon around Su-e roared as a vast golden light illuminated the sky and instantly blasted toward the Long family's elder. Whoosh whoosh. The 9 dragons were entwined, and 2 white lights were embellished. The 3 powerful light shadows instantly broke through the Long family's restriction formation and arrived in front of the Long family's elder. At the same time, the Long family's elders also changed their figures and surrounded the 3 of them. Dozens of elders stretched out their hands at lightning speed. The golden light turned into palm prints and rushed into the sky. The Sky Palace behind them was instantly filled with a vast and murderous divine light. The golden dragons were like living creatures. Under the divine light, the blood of the dozens of elders surged, and their auras also skyrocketed. These old men are also burning their blood essence. Duanmu Qingtian looked at them and said in a serious voice. Immediately, dozens of golden dragons burst out from the bodies of the elders, forming a huge halo that surrounded Su-e and the others. Inside the halo, a fierce pressure with blazing heat quickly rushed toward the 3 of them, and a chill quickly spread from the bottom of their hearts. It was only today that the dragon family's bloodline attack was fully displayed. 1 monster and 2 half-step yuan sky cultivators, in a space full of golden dragon aura, they still felt that it was extremely difficult to deal with. Chapter 2459. Su-e, Duanmu Qingtian, and the others, who were surrounded, looked extremely gloomy. The dozens of 9th-level origin ancestor powerhouses before them started to exert their strength. The origin chi in their meridians started to boil and surge. Roar. Within the golden light net, the ice luan roared, the golden dragon roared, and the unparalleled sword waves stirred the sky. The ferocious pressure kept resisting the light net's continuous erosion. The blood chi in this light net is the lifetime blood essence of these dozens of old things. It's a little tricky. Duanmu Qingtian's face was red, and his veins were bulging. Among the 3 of them, his cultivation was the highest, but he was also the most injured. During the battle with the wild owl and the Long family had attacked him. The golden dragon aura had penetrated deep into his meridians and organs. Even now, there were still aftereffects. You step back. I'll block them. You and Su-e find a way to break this golden dragon blood formation. Duanmu Xiaoman scolded. Her feet moved, and the white light spots all over her body turned into countless small ice luans that rushed toward the light net. Rumble. The sound of collision resounded through heaven and earth. The sharp screeches turned into terrifying azure pressure that pervaded the light net. Chi. The area of the light net was still shrinking. Duanmu Qingtian immediately turned to Su-e and asked softly, "Is there a solution in the ancestral dragon medicine scripture?" At that moment, Su-e quickly went through the information in the scripture in his mind. He immediately understood that the golden dragon blood formation before him was formed purely by blood essence. There were no flaws. They could only rely on brute force to break it. We can only attack by force, Su-yi muttered. Then Su-yi shouted at Duanmu Xiaoman, who was in front of him. Xiaoman, summon the divine sky cauldron. I'll use the golden dragon blood essence to activate it. With the protection of the dragon's soul, there shouldn't be any loss. Although Su-yi was currently consuming his golden dragon blood essence, he had 3 wisps of golden dragon soul protecting him. Compared to the Long family powerhouses in the outside world, his blood essence could still be replenished. Within the limited time of burning his blood essence, the only thing that could forcefully break through the enemy was the heaven-controlling divine cauldron. All right, taking a deep breath, Duanmu Xiaoman's figure drifted backward. A mysterious light flashed in her hand, and a black iron-like light instantly appeared in front of her. Without any delay, a golden dragon aura shot out from Su-yi's forehead. He pushed his hands forward, and the violent golden energy around him instantly activated the black cauldron. As he chanted the art of driving the heavens, he also activated the primordial chaos supreme art to protect his heart meridians. Amidst the dense white light, the driving the heavens divine cauldron rapidly exploded. Roar! Subsequently, a vigorous primordial azure dragon's remnant soul broke through the heavens and the earth, and the lifelike 3,000-meter long golden dragon suddenly blasted a large hole in the light net. The sharp and murderous aura of the golden dragon was incomparably domineering, and it quickly dazzled the entire sky with a golden light. Under the surging of the galaxy, the remnant soul, with Su-yi as the center, swam in all directions, quickly dispersing the formation formed by the dozens of elders. Before the elders could react, the huge, soaring golden dragon revealed a roaring golden light, shattering the space one by one. Immediately after, dozens of figures turned into cannonballs and shot backwards. Blood sprayed out, and their faces were incomparably haggard. Bam! At the same time, the net of light exploded, and the sonic boom that shot into the sky turned into muffled thunder that resounded in all directions. The spurting blood light spilled onto the ground, forming an incomparably terrifying river of blood. Everyone who was lying on the ground with pale faces trembling in fear. Looking at this sinister and tyrannical killing intent, they all felt a chill spread from the bottom of their hearts, and their souls trembled along with it. In front of him, the divine cauldron rotated, emitting a golden halo of light. There were also 3 golden dragon patterns on the cauldron, covering it in divine light. Su-yi, who was controlling the divine cauldron, slowly walked forward, walking in front of the elders, his gaze sunk, incomparably cold. "Kid, what are you doing? You dare to kill me?" An elder roared, blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. Buzz, buzz! The corner of Su-yi's mouth curled up. Immediately, the golden dragon above his head flashed. The light was dazzling, and looking at the Long family elders who did not understand the situation, a wave of killing intent suddenly condensed. I said before, once you go to the Long family, no one will be left alive. You dare, brat, you dare to kill me. How dare you? I am the supreme elder of the Long family. I'm going to fight it out with you. With a glance, the death of these elders was already a foregone conclusion. Su-yi immediately resisted the rapid loss of primordial chi in the Great Void Divine Sea. Once again, he activated the divine cauldron. The golden dragon flying in the sky opened its mouth and roared. Suddenly, a light burst out, aiming at the dozens of experts and elders below, preparing to kill them. At this moment, a shrill sound came out from behind him. Immediately, a large amount of black fog spread out from the surrounding sky, and countless black shadows flew up from the broken ground. Hee-hee, sounds like the screams of thousands of ghosts could be heard. Instantly, thousands of strange martial artists appeared in the black fog. Their eyes were empty, and they were numb like walking corpses. What is this? How can a Long family have these things? These are, ah, these are, oh my God. How can the Golden Dragon family have such filthy and smelly things? Where's the dragon god? Let him out to explain. Hearing the elders roar, Su Yi immediately stopped the surging aura of the golden dragon in his hand. Turning his head, he saw that Duanmu Xiaoman had already started a fight with the black fog, and Duanmu Qingtian's legs and feet were entangled by the black fog. It was like a tarsal body wrapped around Duanmu Qingtian's body, crazily gnawing at it. Xiaoman master. Su Yi turned pale with fright. He quickly activated the giant cauldron in his hand, and a shrill laugh came from the black fog around Duanmu Qingtian's body. The face that seemed to have solidified revealed its true appearance, and the shriveled face that looked like a skeleton made one's heart turn cold. Immediately, Su Yi's heart skipped a beat. The person in front of him was none other than the person who escaped from his hands that day, Yun Lingfeng. Su Yi, give me back my sword, give me back my sword. With a pair of empty eyes, Yun Lingfeng, who had almost lost his mind, had already become a death warrior. He wrapped around Duanmu Qingtian's body with incomparable resentment. Su Yi, don't worry about me. These are all demonic creatures. The Long family actually colluded with demonic creatures. Today, all of you will die. Duanmu Qingtian frowned. His half-step sky origin stage 5 cultivation surged again, and Yun Lingfeng, who was scattered like smoke, instantly roared and flashed back to the ground. Whoosh! Whoosh! Seizing the opportunity, Duanmu Qingtian and Duanmu Xiaoman quickly returned to Su Yi's side. Duanmu Xiaoman's beautiful face flickered as she stared at Duanmu Qingtian. She saw that the part of his body that was bitten by Yun Lingfeng had already started to turn black, and his skin and flesh were flipped open. The stench was incomparable. Qingtian, let me help you, Duanmu Xiaoman said anxiously as her misty eyes rippled. Duanmu Qingtian furrowed his brows, obviously feeling extremely uncomfortable. He waved his hand, took 2 steps back, and said softly, No, I've seen these demonic creatures in the outer realm before. I can't touch them, sister. Chapter 2460. Then what should we do? The helpless Duanmu Xiaoman's eyes were filled with tears. Demonic creatures are not to be trifled with. Instantly, the siblings looked towards Su Yi, whose blood essence had already dissipated. The giant cauldron once again fell to the ground. Ding! When the cauldron landed, it instantly lit up with a bright light. The energy wind spread out. Su Yi looked around and was once again surrounded by black shadows. Looking at the demonized Long family members, Su Yi instantly confirmed one thing. The tragedy in Kanglan City and Qi Nu's injuries were all caused by Yun Lingfeng's demonized dragon army. Damn it, what are these things? When did these things appear in our Long family? In the distance, the elders of the Long family also looked solemn. They were extremely shocked as they looked at the demonized dragon army. Ha ha! At this moment, a laugh came from the sky. It was sinister and sharp, filled with ruthless ridicule and arrogance. Su Yi, who was filled with hatred and anger, slowly raised his head. He saw Long Tsang standing with his hands behind his back. There was a faint black mark between his brows, and a wild smile flashed across his eyes. How is it, Su Yi? Do you like the gift I prepared for you? Spreading his hands, Long Tsang, who was in the sky, stared at Su Yi and Yutian with resentment in his eyes. He revealed a look of pity. I wanted to play with you, but what a pity. You had to make me use my last move. Immediately, Su Yi's body surged with unparalleled anger. The primordial chaos supreme technique was completely activated. Instantly, his aura soared as he shouted, Long Tsang, if you don't die today, I, Su Yi, will not forgive you even if I die 1,000 times. Very good. Long Tsang nodded. His eyes narrowed, and a hunched figure gradually appeared beside him. He said softly, Yin Lingfeng, bring your demon dragon army and kill all these people. Wait, The elders of the Long family looked at the strange and sinister Long family army around them. All sorts of discussions could be heard. An elder looked at Long Tsang in the sky and questioned angrily. "Young master, please tell me what these are." "Yes. Why hasn't the dragon god come out yet? Us old bones are not protecting these pretentious people." "Young master, our Long family's bloodline is so noble. Why must we fall into the demonic path? What exactly is the dragon god cultivating in seclusion? Could be a demonic art as well." "Enough." The corner of Long Tsang's mouth trembled immediately. Black lines danced within his scarlet eyes as he furiously cried out to the elders. "What do you know? It's you stubborn old things who think your bloodline is noble. Now, even an outer realm old fellow can control my father. What the Long family wanted was not the bloodline. It was power. It's the supreme martial power." As soon as he finished speaking, the elders all felt their hearts ache as they looked at the Long family that was no longer the same as before. They beat their chests and stomped their feet. Cries and shouts filled the air. The Long family's bloodline, which they thought was glorious and arrogant, had colluded with demons. How could they talk about nobility? Worse than mud. This was abandoning oneself. This was discrediting the ancestors of the Long family. In the sky, Long Tsang raised his head as if he had smelled the scent of victory. The corner of his mouth curled into a satisfied smile. Suddenly, Long Tsang opened his eyes, and a black ray of light shot up to the sky. Yun Lingfeng, who was beside him, had come back to life. "Ah!" Yun Lingfeng shouted as the shrill screams of ghosts resounded through the sky. Instantly, In Shi filled the air. Tens of thousands of strengthened demon dragon army turned the entire dragon palace into hell. Hiss! Smoke filled the air as the black demon dragon army charged towards Su, Yi, and the rest. What was even more unexpected was that dozens of elders from the Long family stood in front of Su, Yi, and the rest. "All of you." Su Yi's eyes were bloodshot as he gloomily looked at the severely injured elders in front of him. One of the elders from the Long family trembled as he turned around. His eyes were bloodshot as he choked and said, "Young man, you're right. We don't understand the current Long family anymore. The Long family must become the #1 family in the Sky Barbarians, but we can't fall into the Demon Tao." Chila. In an instant, dozens of elders smiled as they made up their minds to die. At the last moment, vast amounts of vital chi rushed out and blasted into the sky. "They are opening the space restriction spell of the Heavenly Palace," Duanmu Xiaoman exclaimed. They would rather die than lose their faith and glory. As soon as Duanmu Xiaoman finished speaking, the screams of the demon dragon army stopped. With a thunderous sound, hundreds of dazzling golden dragons exploded and an invisible space membrane exploded. Rumble. In less than a second, Yin Zhongli, Ling Qianxue, and the rest, who had been waiting outside, rushed into the Heavenly Palace. Roar. Like a tide, the Myriad Sword Alliance, Thunderfire Holy Hall, Tianlansi City, Yuqian Palace, and the rest, who had already won the battle, rushed into the Heavenly Palace. Xinjiang Gate, Sacred Mountain, and Taiching Sect were dealing with the aftermath near the Dragon Stairs. Soon, Yin Yetian, Yi, Dugushan, and the rest stood together with Yin Zhongli and the rest. As soon as they entered the Heavenly Palace, they were stunned by the scene in front of them. The gloomy and ferocious demon dragon army had refreshed their worldview. Holy *T. Were these things? Draconis is raising these things. The Long family is really despicable. Today we must exterminate the Long clan, not leaving a single blade of grass behind. Yin Yetian, Long Pasan, and the rest were the loudest. Looking at the demon dragon army, everyone's faces were filled with disgust and fear. Long Tsang, who was in the sky, was furious. He did not expect that his own Grand Elder would help outsiders open the space restriction spell of the Heavenly Palace. Black runes surged all over his body, and a cold black light covered the entire sky. Suddenly, the tens of thousands of demon dragon army turned into clouds and moved. Kill. Kill them all. Today, none of you are allowed to leave. All of you must die. Long Song, who was shocked and furious, shouted as if he had fallen into madness. Bang! At this moment, dozens of elders in front of Su Yi fell down one after another. Looking at these elders who had done their best for the Long family, Su Yi sighed. Naturally, Su Yi did not have a good impression of them. However, these people had done a good deed before they died, so they still looked solemn. Be careful, Duanmu Xiaoman shouted. She quickly activated the power of the ice lawn, and the wind and snow dispersed the black shadows in the sky. She shouted at Su Yi. Ka-ka! Countless soul-stirring sounds came from the ground. At this moment, the elders of the Long family were surrounded by the demon dragon army. The elders who were still warm withered like trees that had been sucked dry. The skin of dozens of elders of the Long family turned black, and their hollow eyes were filled with hatred and resentment. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.